How y'all doing, man? It's your boy the comment, KHAM score man back 5 off the bay. Catch me on Universal the Base. Catch me on What It Sound Like podcast, where you get your best interviews and reviews and interviews. Catch me on the Blerd Cartel. You know we doing well, and then catch me on Blerd Approve Entertainment on Tapping No Capping. Where if you're a nerd and you've seen it, then what's your opinion? What's happening, Juke?
What's happening, man? It's your boy Straw Hat Joofy. Make it do what it doofy. You can find me here, there, everywhere else like air, man. You know, we back at it another Friday night, man. We got a good discussion for y'all, man. Shout out to our guest that's here tonight. Why don't y'all go ahead and introduce yourselves?
I'm Janae, in the military, stationed at Fort Benning, now known as Fort Moore, and that's about it.
BMT.
I'm BMT, business minded talk, black male talk, owner and creator of, I guess, 10 YouTube channels. I didn't even know I had. Formerly stationed at Fort Benning, the home of the infantry. I don't know what it's called now. She's in a different place now, but I'm definitely here to support my brothers on this topic. Just building an amazing empire. So shout out to Con Man for repping that the debate. Yesterday, are men too emotional, which that definitely killed and shut down the internet for a while, and definitely we want to see what's going to happen today. We're going to see what's happening today. And also shout out to my brother Straw Hat Joofy and everybody else on the panel. What's up?
Appreciate that. Pleasure to have you. What's going on, All Black? Appreciate you being in the comments. Jazzy, what's happening?
Hey, my name's Jazzy. I'm an independent free thinker, and I'm here to give my opinion. So thanks for having me.
Appreciate that. And then my boy, I don't know if I should say Ninja Wakanda or your actual name.
I'm just a local neighborhood ninja, just out here doing what I do. That's it.
Got you.
Would you like to tell
the panel your background a little bit? You know what I'm saying? We actually got 4 vets in here. I don't know if y'all know that. We got 4 of them.
I did 8 years in the Navy. During my year, did 6 deployments, 2 overseas. So now I'm just living life, handling business, getting it in, doing ninja shit on the side.
Okay. I see you don't want to really give your disclosure yet. We'll wait till we get spicy. All right. All right, man. So first off, I want to thank you all for being on the panel today. Today will be a sensitive topic, so I do want to give a quick, you feel me? Hold on.
For the record, Con held me hostage to come here. Just throwing it out there.
I didn't do all that.
He just clearly told y'all he's a ninja and he was held hostage.
Right. But we're gonna put this on right quick. This is a trigger warning. You feel me? The following content may contain sensitive themes that is not suitable for all audiences. Please be aware of what you are about to view and what you may see. You have been warned. The reason why I say this is because I know we live in a sensitive time. I'm pretty sure every member on this podcast has the maturity to deal with this topic, but it is an emotional topic, so I'm sure that it's easy for people to feel triggered. So please be nice.
Be mindful, okay? Be respectful, and try not to slur on your P's and your B's when you get to calling people names. You feel me?
Man, we're gonna hop straight into it. The topic today is about protection at what cost. We're gonna be talking about the Carlishia Hood incident that happened in Chicago, where she was assaulted by a black man, and I feel like even just introducing it that way, saying a black man, is controversial, but assaulted by a black assailant and had to be defended by her son. So who has, you feel me, dove into this incident, got they, how y'all feel about it, what y'all think about it? We want to start off. It's a lot of faces but no sound.
Quiet.
I'll start off.
Reaction. Just a rap. Basically all black. That's what I've been saying for the longest. Every action has a reaction.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's an incident where it's unfortunate how it played out, but it's also one of those things that has moral justice to it because, I mean, I would say all the men on here, most men we probably deal with day to day are pretty upstanding individuals. And so when I would say one of our own, I use that term loosely, comes off something like that and he gets what's morally due to him, so to speak, where everyone's like, yeah, that dude was an asshole, fuck him. It's just unfortunate that something happened beforehand, so it didn't get to that point. Because I always ask myself the question: how did we get this far? Like January 6th, or like any big incident that's happened in America. I ask myself, how did we get here first? And it's something that I've seen too many times over, where people like they bypass certain behavior, thinking that either A, they can fix it, B, it's a one-off, or C, they don't believe it, and then just keep allowing it to happen. And up to the point where there's a lot of steps in between, from the argument to the actual fight to her telling her son to shoot this dude. Then it's like, okay, where did the son get the gun from? Was it hers? Was it his? Was it his homeboys? Like, it's so many questions that it was just weird to me. But at the end of the day, it comes down to, in that instance, a son protecting his mom at all costs, right? Because a lot of people talk about what they'll do for their kids, they'll talk about what they'll do for their friends. But if it's one of those things where it's like, hey, if your friend shows up, says, hey, I need you to help me do this, don't ask no questions, we need blah, 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 are you riding or not? And that's one of those things. And for your parents, for me as a parent, for my daughters, I'll do the time if I have to. That's just me. That's where I come from. That's how I'm built. So I do everything so that doesn't happen, because I know how far I'm willing to go. But in this sense, for her 14-year-old son to take that high of an action, to take that man's life, I mean, that's a lot. That's hard on him, because taking a life is nothing to play about, no matter whose it is. Even if it's somebody you truly hate, that's still the weight you carry from taking that life off this planet. So, I mean, again, yeah, I mean, I think it's unfortunate how it happened, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of factors in between how they were raised, how the environment they grew up in, and what they consider reasonable. But I mean, at the end of the day, if she's walking around because she was a victim of abuse and her son protected her, in that regard, I have no argument about that.
I feel you. BMT, you want to chime in?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I've already covered it. I covered it from different angles. From the first side, it was a karma. Things happen in that type of environment, and the guy he pushed it through the limit, put his hands on her. So I don't fault the child. I'm gonna start off with that. I don't fault the child. The child is just protecting its mother. It's a survival link. So I'm not looking at that. Also, I look at it from that of the woman, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to be triggering. Ladies, if you can get out of the situation, get out. Stop. Don't play the heroism of, hey, I'm Black Widow, or I can do this, I can do that. Too many things can happen. I know some people are going to say, well, why do I got to leave? Cool. Play it by the fates, but we're in 2023. And we're in a time and age where the men don't mind. Men don't mind putting their hands on a woman's face, and people will watch while you lay on the pavement bleeding out. So it is a reality. Not every woman is running around or has a pistol or protection. I work at many clubs. I tell ladies, if you can get away, take the exit. So that's just a reality. Do I agree with her having to call her son? At the time, that was the only option. I don't like Monday night quarterbacking, because that was between her, God, and that man and her child. You know, there's a lot of men there, even the elderly men. Somebody could have said something. Nobody said nothing. So
We
they
also live in a time where mind your business. So that's I understand why like nobody didn't do anything. But I would expect, like, if that was me and I had a son, I would expect my son to come and like handle the situation.
right. But and I hear you with that, ma'am. But see, and this is where the societal roller coaster is starting now, because these men and these boys are now having these colossal clashes now. Whereas to, okay, cool, all right, young blood, you want to run up on me, and now you're getting these Jody incidences. And see, that's the thing about it. As a mother, your first intuition is your nurturing instinct. If you got to, and I'm not questioning any of y'all as women, that if you got to save your child, save your child. You know what I'm saying? If you see a bunch of boys about to jump on your boy, I'm not going to question none of y'all ladies or, you know, any of us as, you know, family members. And we all know we all got family. We're going to run out there head first. Don't think about it. But if we can get that person out of there, see, what I'm thinking about is, one, that boy has to walk them streets of Chicago now. Everybody in the streets now know, bruh, you got a body on you now. And some people look at that as a call of either A, you're a hero, or B, was good. Now I could challenge you, but you don't got that pistol on you at all time. Now, when I said that on my panel, everybody was all for, oh, you want that man to get beat, you want that woman to get beat. I'm not thinking like, I'm thinking as a parent, you understand, of the ramifications for every bullet you fire out there. And shout out to how it was set on Power when Kane's mama told him, hey, yeah, you did what you had to do for the family, but I want you to understand there's always going to be a bullet out there chasing your black ass. So you better keep your head on the swivel. And that remains true to all of us as just, you know, young individuals. You know what I'm saying? One of us might get lucky. I might run up on you or any of the brothers or any of the sisters and might hit you. But I got to remember, one day, I don't know what, I could be at Walmart, I could be in the park, I could be at the club. I got to always remind myself, I don't know when I'm going to run into y'all or your family member or who, or, you know what I'm saying? And so just like he was called Knockout King, somebody put him down. It was a little Goliath with a slingshot. So these things happen.
So you're right about that. And I feel you on that. Like, but I just feel like they called him the Knockout King, but he was beating bitches' ass. Like, excuse my
Yeah.
bad. I'm sorry.
You welcome to speak up, please.
Blame them two brothers up there. Blame them for why this
He was beating on women, and they called him the Knockout King for no. Like, I don't agree with that. I don't believe in like domestic violence or nothing like that. But you got these women who are lost. Now back to the boy part. Like you said, I understand that. And these are the streets of Chicago. They're a little ruthless. They ruthless than most cities out in the United States. But I feel like mostly he's going to be looked at as a hero because what he did for his mother.
Depends. I would say
it depends though, because it could be another BT, what the young dude, BT Young Savage or whatever his name was, that he was defending his life. It kills people that invaded his home. It's a similar situation. And then, you know, the media got out because we live in a day and age where it's always about the fucking broadcasting of a story, like how we doing now. But, you know, anything can happen to that little boy. And we already said Chicago, one of the most dangerous cities in America. And they bout that life at that age. You feel me? So somebody on that boy's side of the family could come looking for that little boy sooner or later. You know, you never know what could happen. His life could be taken soon. We could hear a story about him in a few months, you know, just behind that.
Absolutely.
That's true.
Imagine, you want to chime in? I felt like you was itching to say something.
I have so much to say about this. Actually, I have so much to say about this. There's
the villainous.
Because there's so many things to talk about. The first story that was reported on was incorrect. There was incorrect information. It's just like, there's so many issues. Domestic violence, it's an issue. Abuse being accepted in our community, that's an issue. Little boys calling to protect their mother, that's an issue. I fault the Black men or the other men, regardless of the race that were in that establishment, watching that man get increasingly aggressive with that woman and not doing anything. Nothing at all, to the point that she had to call the next man that's closest to her, which is her son. She was licensed to carry, so that was her gun. And that boy didn't shoot any innocent bystanders. He was a good shot, so obviously she was preparing him in that aspect. I agree, they should relocate because the victim, I don't know if he's a victim, he's an aggressor, so I just feel wrong calling him a victim.
Yeah.
But the man that died, you know, he came from all the things that people hear about Chicago, you know, nothing good. You could tell by the way that he was acting. You could tell by when you look at his social media, his history, criminal history. It's just ridiculous. Carlishia should not have been arrested, but she was. If she was white, she probably wouldn't have been arrested. There's an issue with the way that the police made that determination. There's just so many issues with this. So it all just depends to me on what the topic is about, because I have so much to say about it and I can run my mouth. But she's going to be suing, and she should be suing. She's going to be suing the police department, I believe, but I think she should also be suing the media. The first story that went out was incorrect, and it's still trending much higher than the retraction. Not having reliable journalism is an issue in this country. Social media is affecting that. The way that Black people see each other in general, as well as when they're portrayed in the media, definitely going to believe, you know, the not positive narrative of the story is how I'll put it. Because that's what I ran with. Oh, I was hot. You know what I mean? Craig even gave a lot of examples of other movies where this is happening. I think it was like Monsters Ball, Gridiron Gang. And then I even referenced Blueface and his mom, because if you know anything about them, it's just a very poor representation of what a relationship between a mother and son should be. So it's all about what we're talking about. You know, I think that protecting Black women is definitely an issue in this, and that is where I put the responsibility on the men that we're around. Why don't men in our community feel comfortable stepping up to protect a woman when she's clearly being assaulted? She's in a situation where she's not going to win, but nothing happens. It's not until that person is your relative or your close friend that people start to care. But people should have more empathy for their community, for people in their community, and say something when they see something wrong. Now, I know we don't live in that kind of a world, but that's what would be nice. And I don't know if I said this already, but the family should relocate. Okay, I'm done.
Yes, definitely.
So hold on, let me chime in real quick, because I actually think that's a really nice segue to our boy, the ninja. So I know it's a little.
Oh shit!
I'm glad you got that little scent.
Oh man,
he feels as though, you feel me, that the police department handled that poorly, and that she would not have been arrested had she had not been Black and preferably been white. What is your background, and what is it that you feel about that situation or that statement?
It's so I've done a lot of jobs in my short amount of time on this earth, but my current job for the last 5 years, I'm in the police department for my city. I'm a police officer, and so I walk in two worlds, right? I've been a Black man my entire life. I grew up in the neighborhood with all the same dudes. I ran with the wolves. I was an urban Boy Scout for a little bit, and my dad was the one that kind of guided me out of that stuff. So fast forward now, currently, seeing how things work on at least my end, and then how that relates to my life and all those other things. There's so many different facets, but it helps me understand more, because when I deal with people, talk to people, when I help people, I have a different mindset because I have a lot of life experience in between. Mm-hmm. So for example, like we were talking about, like domestic violence in our community, I was abused twice over with both my kids' mothers, one bad relationship to the next. I lied to my command about getting hit in the face by her mom, because I was like, oh, no man wants to talk about getting slapped around by his wife at the time. I was 19 and I was married in the military, and I thought I knew everything. So I made excuses. I went on with that for like 3 years. I mean, her family, she did it in front of her family, in front of the DMV, out in public, like, you know, and it's not because it was a lack of strength. That's not how I was raised. My dad was a people person. He was a ladies' man, like treat women with all this stuff. So that's how I was raised. But in turn, that did a lot of damage. And then fast forward to her taking my daughter, and then fighting every year in court for 9 years to get full custody of my oldest daughter. That was a whole nother thing. And then going to my next relationship where I thought I had enough experience. I'm like, oh, this will go well. Not going well at all. Still experiencing the same thing. Experiencing the lies, the deception. Oh, this will never happen again. All while my youngest daughter's mother was fucking my coworker. Had no idea.
Ooh.
Lived through that. I lived through her trying to stab me. Lived through that. So it's a lot of things that no one came to my aid when she attacked me in public. I just walked off. And because I knew I could take whatever she was doing. So absorbing all these instances, absorbing my life as my mother was my first experience with a Black woman, and how I thought you were supposed to be loved, but my parents broke up when I was young. So I'm the youngest of 6, and I'm 38 now. And so all my brothers and sisters were already in college and gone. And my dad was the last person I used to get beat every other day and twice on Tuesday because bad day at work. Oh, hey, come here, get smacked around because you look like your dad. Like, that's what I grew up in. But on top of that, she was an educator.
What's going on?
So
Appreciate you.
I learned all these things about, articulation and I used to get locked in my room for reading and so on and so forth. But I associated those things with love, and that's where I went astray initially. So, and then seeing my dad was my example, because she threw me out of the house when I was 11 years old. Long story. But seeing how my dad raised me and seeing how I watched him step up for women in a similar situation when I was younger, and growing up watching movies, reading comic books, I'm like, yes, you need to step up. You need to do something when somebody's help or things like that. I've seen my dad do it a bunch of times. So that was my example. So like how Jazz was saying, how men should, if something's happening in front of them and they do nothing, I understand we're in the day and age where people are like, ooh, I'm gonna mind my business, and ooh, I don't know, and all this stuff, but I'm not wired that way. And luckily I'm very skilled at violence, so it doesn't bother me. I'll fuck you up and go eat lunch like nothing ever happened. Like, that's how I am, because that's how I have to be. That's how life and all these things. So going into that, in that situation, being in law enforcement, you have to look at a bunch of things that a lot of times people don't understand. So for example, somebody died, right? And a lot of times, people want police to do their job. Fully agree. Police need to do a better job across the board. Fully agree. But also a lot of times I think there's unrealistic expectations. I think because I got my degree in psychology, so I think of things a little bit wider spectrum. But if we don't know something, our brain will try to associate something. It will try to fill in the gaps.
I'm sorry, can I interject real quick? Because you are a law enforcement officer. In a situation like that, does there have to be an arrest made before the police leave the scene?
So what will happen normally is everyone gets detained, right? So that's because everyone gets detained who's like key to be involved. So that way the police get the entire story. So like if it was like the clerk, the witness, they're like, hey, don't go anywhere. They're like, why? I didn't do nothing. I'm like, no, don't go anywhere. Because that helps create the whole story, and then we can understand what happened. Because that's in this line of work, you have to ask the why. You have to pull the thread. And sometimes it's super uncomfortable. I've talked to women who have been battered, raped, beaten. I've talked to dudes, same thing, battered, raped, beaten. People got gunshot wounds, stab wounds. I ran towards gunfire, the whole 9 yards. I've done a good amount of it, right? And when you're talking to people, you have to be human. You have to just be yourself, right? You don't have to be like, blah, blah, blah. But, you also have to tell people, hey, I'm trying to do my job. which is what everyone wants you to do. But in doing that, I have to ask you these questions, or you can't leave until I'm done asking these questions, so that I can put everything together. Because say nobody does that, everyone's going to go off like you said, what the news said, which they had to retract. They're like, oh well, we kind of fucked up, we got it wrong, like, you know what I mean? And so I think at very longest would be because people misunderstand being detained with being arrested. So being detained means you're not free to go, right? So everybody asks, am I free to go? Am I free to go? I'm like, no, this is why. I take the time, if they'll listen, I explain to them why. So then everyone's on the same page, unless they just don't want to listen.
Yeah, I don't know how many times you are. Thanks for bringing understanding to the situation, but that's something that helps.
Yeah, I try to explain it to people. So I tell them like, hey, this is why. You might not like it, but this is why. Too bad, so sad. If everybody's cool, I don't put them in handcuffs. Just don't run off. But if somebody's arrested, you absolutely go into handcuffs. And then it's like, because you've been put all the stats together and all the witnesses. Hey, you did this crime. Guess what? Time to take a ride downtown. So in this case, there's a lot of moving parts, right? Because her gun, her son, her boyfriend, public place, who saw what, when did it happen? It's all these questions have to go in, because at the end of the day, officers and the police department expect to be professional. Supposed to be, we should be professionals and do like a thorough investigation. So that's what happened. So okay, you said that is what happened, and that's not what happened. No, that's what should happen. Yes. So that's like, you come over here. But that's my son. Cool. Hey, you shot this dude. You going to handcuffs right now, because the one thing I do know, you shot this dude. I don't know why. So you're gonna go in handcuffs. I'm gonna bring you over here. And then you, that's your son, and you, like, that's your gun. You going to handcuffs too. So I figure out what's going on. And then at worst, I mean, at least for me where I work, we're pretty smooth with it. So I've seen a dude shoot. He shot it was a married couple. He was the new boyfriend because they were breaking up. The dude comes over because she cleaned out his account, and he was in the military. He says, hey, he comes to her house where the new boyfriend's house, says, hey, I want my money. And she goes, no, I don't give a shit. Kick rocks. So he says, he pushes his way in an apartment. And he was a little guy, not a very imposing guy. He was like, hey, because he felt he was morally right. He says, hey, I want that money back. He took out of our joint account, so then we can split evenly. She goes, no. Right. New boyfriend comes out. He had legal gun owner, has his gun on him. He goes, hey, get out the house. So now they start chirping. They start peacocking, right? Dude tries to grab his gun. He shoots him in the hip. It comes out his ass cheek. It was actually really funny. But so we get the call. We get there. Guns out. Hey, get the fuck down. Blah, blah, blah. Everybody's handcuffs. He's on the floor bleeding. We're like, yo, what the fuck is going on? Mm-hmm. She's screaming. So we detain everyone. We take dude in the car, put him in the car. We take dude. I remember I cut his pants open and put a tourniquet on him and all this other stuff. So he's fine. He lives. He goes in the ambulance. Somebody falls in the hospital. Talk to the girlfriend. Talk to the boyfriend. Guess what happened? Technically, the guy, the husband, he got hit for home invasion and for pedestrian robbery because he demanded cash. He wouldn't leave, and he tried to do it by force of fear. The other boyfriend, we let him go at the scene. We're just like, hey, you probably have to show up to court when this comes out. He goes, okay, no problem. It was his gun. He kept his gun. They questioned him on the scene, and then that was it. So that's why if we detain everybody right away, we can figure things out. And then ultimately, the victim was the suspect, so to speak. So, but a lot of people see people in handcuffs, and they're like, oh, what are you arresting them for? What are you doing this for? I'm like, that's not always the case. But again, in this situation, it's one of those things where you detain everyone first, figure out the story, and you figure out that she was a victim of abuse. She was in a you could articulate life threatening, because the biggest thing in our job is articulation, explaining why. So if it's a domestic violence situation, he's already hit her already, and he's maybe threatening something else. The only thing is, what is he threatening to do? Did he have a weapon? Did he have a gun? If not, shooting him is going to be kind of hard to, because there's levels of force, right? So, for example, just because somebody is this tall and somebody's this big doesn't mean this person can do whatever, right? So if that person shoves them and then they blast them.
Are you talking about like excessive force?
Yes, essentially that's what it is. So
yeah.
So hold on, because like I said, I work for SLED. I work for SLED down there in the South. So so the thing about it, what you're talking about now is we call it the rock paper scissors shoe algorithm because
Yeah,
if it's
I know what you're talking about.
right, right. So that way we can match it. So if it's that of little woman to man, they're gonna look at that of the algorithm of the body weight. Body weight matters if y'all understand that, and also if there's a weapon. Now, if it's something where she pulled out a knife, she pulled out a clear knife. Guy said, "Oh, she has a knife. She tried to cut me." Pam, pam. I'm sorry, but he wins the court case. I hear this time and time again, but like what the brother's saying. Why did the mother get arrested? I got to be honest with y'all. In my time of detaining people, I would have arrested and detained the mother and the son also. We got this conflict.
One or both, because they're two different things.
Well, are you saying detaining or arresting? Because my thing is that, just like the previous gentleman said, is that the officers get everybody together and they take everybody's story. There were witnesses there. The videos were there. The video that freed her and got all the charges dropped is the same. You know, everybody was there. So I guess I'm more commenting on the distrust of the mother and son's word against everybody else. She was assaulted, and there was a body.
But still,
go ahead.
Hold on, let me BMT before you go. Let me chime in. So, before you respond to her, right? The thing was about making the arrest right there on the spot, which, by the way, also came with a $10 million bail. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is anybody here familiar with Ahmaud Arbery?
Yeah, I know. I only watched that video twice. It was fucking sad.
So,
and that was pre George Floyd. And let me tell you, that was the worst fucking year of my life.
Yeah, I know about that.
Yeah.
So if everybody's here familiar with the situation of Ahmaud Arbery, we do know that the three assailants who murdered that black man who was jogging, it took 3 months for them to make an arrest.
There's a woman in Florida who shot someone in the face, and she was not arrested on the spot either. So that's just what I'm asking. I don't know if this varies state to state or whichever, but in your guys' experience, when there is a body and there are witnesses, does an arrest have to be made on the spot?
If everyone says that person shot that person's getting held, and then they'll be like, why did you shoot that person? Then you start pulling and if it's like, oh, that person was getting drilled against the car, they were losing consciousness, and this law-abiding citizen, I'm just use that and has a legal, and then shoots that person, they're like,
I'm trying to kind of find it right now. I don't know what those 5 officers' nationalities were, but that's more to protecting Black women, distrust of ourselves and our own community. That's more of what I'm speaking. I understand that there's a procedure for these kind of things. I mean, somebody dead, there's going to have to be an investigation on what happens. Absolutely. But so the narrative that ran, the amount of evidence and witnesses that were there, was it necessary for those officers to arrest her after she was assaulted in that moment?
Yes.
At the very least, what at least in where I'm at, it's detention plus movement equals arrest. And I'm not talking about like I put you in handcuffs and I scoot you 5 feet down, or like my car's down there, I walk you to my car. No, I mean like if I transport you to another location, that means you're arrested, and I better have a good reason for it. And at the very least, if you can be arrested, taken to downtown, homicide detectives talk to you, and then they're like, okay, cool, we're gonna let you go. Don't leave town, blah, 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 blah.
What you're saying is that an arrest does not need to be made on the spot.
No, well, hold up. So here's the thing.
Depends.
Okay, so
I can accept that. I can accept the depends answer as well.
So here's the thing about it, like, and this is where, because not all states are the same, and it depends on that, the technicalities, firearms and everything. Like I'm in South Carolina, okay? Like I work at most of the hottest clubs and venues and everything. I'll tell you right now, I hate working at black clubs. I hate that shit with a passion, because ultimately shit goes wrong so fast to where somebody says, I'm coming back. Now we got to figure out, oh shit, this nigga coming back. Now we don't know what to expect. Where I said, hey, when I do come back, we got to detain his ass right there on the spot because he said he's coming back. We don't know what he's going to do. We already had that happen before where a dude got into a whole fist fight with another man. He took an L.
Couldn't take it.
He came back with him and his mama and his girl. They rolled up. He came out. Girl pointed, yo, that man got a pistol on his waist. I'm sorry. I'm not about to wait till Jesus and the angels say, hey, let's figure this out. So I'm already drawing on the guy. Like, hey, bro, either you get down or I put you down. And everybody else in the car get on the ground. Once at that point, everybody getting handcuffed. Click, 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 click. Homeboy's going to show up. Hey, BMT, what happened? Dude came back to the spot with a gun. Once I do that, he's going to ask him the question. He's going to ask him what happened. What y'all want to do? Hey, man, they got to get off the premises. Load them. We need to load them up in the squad car.
Crazy.
And
That's
so
crazy.
we load, and guess what? Put their asses in the squad car and let's keep it moving. Now, when it came to that of the young man, and that again, and I talked about this earlier, we're talking about that of environment. This is Chicago. I want to call it Chirac, but I don't want to derogate everybody that lives there. But you're talking about an area where little young boys are hitters. They're not.
Correct. But this young boy was not.
Well, listen, police don't know that. Everybody thinks that police are mind readers. They're not, man. They just go there and they just whatever you're telling them, they're just going to say, "Hey, black people shot." 1, 2 alive. Everybody else is gone. We get.
I understand that, but isn't that an issue? Because it just happens to be that the word that the policeman took was from the least amount of the productive citizens in that situation.
What you have to do, here's the thing about it, and I always tell this to a lot of people. Black people, if you don't like how the police are doing you right now, either A, you hire private security, or B, you start policing your own neighborhood.
That's not really a fair response because this is just a discussion. It's not anything that really, I mean, you are in enforcement. I'm not. We both don't live in Chicago. But when we're just looking at the situation of, the word of the people that are being taken, and then we look into the background of these people afterward.
But we don't know that.
I think. What was that?
No, okay. So when people, we don't know this until after all the damage is done. For all I know, if I were to walk up, and I'm just going to use Khan is not a small dude. But we heard, hey, you guys, guess what? We just got a call for domestic violence. Khan outside, he's mad. He's breathing hard. He got tears coming from eyes, angry. Girls in there, things all broken. She's got her clothes all ripped up. Naturally, we're going to look at big guy first. First thing we need to do, that Jude's going to say, hey, bro. Let's say Jude's the sergeant. You're going to say, hey, y'all, let's get him and separate him from everybody else and talk to him until we figure out. Now, he's going to say, hey, if he's erratic, this is why we always tell black men, stay calm. Because we need to know what's going on.
Stay calm. Because you're going to look guilty if you're not calm. And if that's the response, I totally understand that. But it's like they even have equipment to look up records of people. They can look up Carlishia Hood and find nothing. They could look up the victim's girlfriend's background and find a record. But that it's just not, it's like nobody was listened to in that situation. And I'm wondering if it's because there was a body or if it's because we don't listen to black people in situations. Whether it's because they're worked up and it's the police, or because they're worked up and they're black and it's the police.
I'm gonna tell you right now. I would say, from seeing plenty of bodies, I don't. If I see a dead body, I ain't listening to nobody. I'm gonna look. First thing first, I need to see all the cameras. Every camera angle, we checking the camera first. But all y'all could be lying your asses off, and people are gonna lie to cover their ass. It's not personal, but let's check the camera first, and then
I agree with that. I agree with that response.
The only thing, if you think about it, is yes, there's a procedure if there's a homicide. Yes, there's a procedure if people are giving different statements. So like where I'm at, if somebody is shot or dying or dead or whatever the case, everyone's gonna flood that area. I tell people police aren't we are reactive. We're like white blood cells, right? So wherever something pops off, we all flood that area, clean out the infection, and then we go to the next thing, right? And so we get there, we're like, okay, isolated, what's going on? Cool. And so a lot of things that you're mentioning are usually we can do it at the street level at patrol, but usually it takes experience to ask those questions in patrol because everything's done at patrol level. Investigations, workups, finding who you're talking to. Now the after effect a lot of times is detective work, right? So then you're talking about like pulling cameras. You're talking about like finding managers, finding Ring doorbell cameras. That's everything that we should be doing in patrol, but it's not done everywhere because a lot of things you're asking, we do already because it's normal to me. So when I see stuff that happens in backwoods, nowhere, fucking Texas or Alabama, I'm always confused because that doesn't make sense to me. But also those are different environments that require a different type of policing. I police in the city. I police in the neighborhood just north of where I grew up.
Yeah, I'm in the South. Like I'm in the South, so it's kind of like the majority. Like this is why, and like I said, I've been there as a man, I've been there for a DV call. And sorry, as a black man in the DV call, it's like, damn, your word versus crying children and a crying woman. And now, oh shit, you gotta prove your statement. Versus that of you got a societal issue, and then it comes to that of, well, depending on how you are, hopefully the person has the wherewithal to say that you are a valid person. This is why I'm saying, like, when it comes to the protection piece, it's a case by case. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Every woman does not get protection, and every man is not gonna be a protector. Some of them, they only protecting you for a gain, and some of them only want to protect you for a means to an end. And then after that, when all the said damage is done, your ass say, I didn't tell you to do that shit. You chose to do that, so you ass out on your own. That's why I said this is a very fickle topic because there's no such thing as Princess Daisies and Bowsers. Your ass keep going back to the danger. Hey, at that point, baby, you on your own slaying the dragon. Pawn shop is always
open. Going back to the danger, what do you mean?
Okay. I'm going to tell you like I told this one lady. This one girl always used to go to this same club where she would get in trouble, right? Her dude would come in like the white shining armor and try to be brawling with dudes. One day while he was sitting on the curb picking glass out of his dreads, I said, listen, bro, one day you're going to die trying to save that broad. Stop. She keeps coming back here. You keep running into the fire. You're going to get killed.
Sorry.
I said, leave her alone. Leave her
alone. I agree. But that example
Go ahead.
is not a good one of protecting Black women because that is a person, regardless of whatever, who is, like you said, going back to the danger. This woman went to get food for her and her son. So when it's like, leave the danger, I totally agree with what you said earlier. As women, we do have to pick our battles because there's no respect. There's not an air of protect women. I really don't know if ever there was, but there's just not, nobody's going to take it easy on you. You have to learn how to protect yourself. You have to learn when to walk away from a fight or an argument that can escalate. I totally agree with that. The situation that you gave is somebody who's intentionally putting themselves in a situation, either because they like it or because they know that someone's going to come and ultimately win that situation for them. But in this situation, or like a situation when I was dropping my daughter off at school and a man felt like I cut him off, so he decided to physically come and confront me. If it wasn't for my daughter's principal getting in between me and this other grown man, I don't know what he would have done. So when I'm living my life out in public and a man decides to rest upon me, how is it that I have to go back to the school? So when you say, don't keep going back to danger, I get what you mean in your example. But when Black women are just living their lives and a Black man or man decides to aggress upon them, or attack them outright, just be unnecessarily vicious. How are we supposed to just not be involved in those situations?
Quick question. So when you said that the principal got in between that, what was the ethnicity of the principal?
Black. And I also wanted to start this off by saying, it's, protect Black women. Black men get unprotected as well. There's also a lot of Black women and a lot of Black men that stand up for each other and protect each other. I've been in a lot of situations where Black men have no relation, I don't even know, have came in to defend me. So I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but in situations like the one with Carlishia and her son, sometimes it doesn't happen and it could happen. Sometimes all a man needs to hear is another man's voice so that they're, have a moment to think like, maybe I don't want to go ahead and deal with somebody who can deal with me on my level or better. Not that.
Could you show that boy again? Show that boy. I want you to look me in my face and tell me, you think that boy is gonna want to be brawling every goddamn day he go to school? That does not look like some boy who. Not saying we judging a book by its covers. That
right there is my exact point when I said, why was there an arrest made at that time? Look at that boy. And you guys are saying things like he's not even in the street life. They're absolutely gonna have to move out of street.
I never said that.
No, I'm not saying that. Somebody had made a comment of, him walking around. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, he got to walk around like it's like. Here's the thing about it, y'all make it seem. Listen, man, I was a kid that played Yu-Gi-Oh, and also went outside and played basketball, football. Went out there with my friends, rode bikes, and also watched anime. And I dare you to try to run up on me and take my Game Boy Color. You were going to catch them hands. Like I promise you. After a while, the bullies started learning. Like, yo, like, stop. Like it takes after you start beating enough of them, and see that was the thing about it back. I came from the dark ages of being a Black nerd. Like you, either those who were going to fight and those who were just going to get picked on. And so me and my brother, I said, hey, stop crying. We're going to have to just start beating every last nigga that comes start stuff with us. When they get on the bus, we grab their ass and we hem them up and we beat them on the bus, or we get them wherever we get them. But we're not going to keep being victim. You know what my mommy did? My mom would give us a whooping. And after a while, I said, hey, mom, you're going to give us a beating regardless. So we might as well keep on fighting. So that's just the reality of being a Black boy. So when I look at him, I said, damn, I know that kid be getting, picked at. I could tell, I could feel that in my spirit. So
that's similar picture though.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so
that's the only catch.
Real quick, so I want to, since we all talking about our perspectives about this, I know we're going to chime in on the whole Black men protecting Black women, but I want to go into some of the opinions of the events from people in the comments. Jazz, you have a beautiful reading voice. Would you be able to read these for me if you can? If it's too small, let me know.
Oh yeah, I can't see that. Hold on a second. Let me see.
I got it. I'm narrating, so I can narrate. Just go ahead and put your screen back. I got it. Okay. She should stay there and take responsibility and accountability for her actions. She knew what she did, following her attacker out of the shop, ordering her son to finish him off was fucked up. She had every moment before the shooting to shut the fuck up and walk away, but she didn't. Why? Because she had a son, husband, hitman on call.
Oh shit.
Ooh. Loaded comment.
That's from a female. I know
that's a loaded comment right there. And see, and I would just have to say that person that has that feeling, like I just wonder if they looked into the retraction. Did you look into this story? Before we get so emotionally attached to a story, do we make sure that we're getting a rise out of facts or just like a good story? Because that's what I felt.
A lot of news is knee-jerk reaction these days. So right. I mean, that's not far-fetched.
Right. People don't care. Like that's what I get your sentiment. But I'm gonna tell you, like my daddy said, you can do the right thing and it still be the wrong thing. And if you don't get so
I'll tell you this to that point itself. I tell people all the time when I get somewhere, I arrested this really small lady, super nice. Her boyfriend was like 6 foot whatever, but she threw hot grease on him because she thought he was cheating, right? And so I was like, so I arrested her. She, why you arrested me? He's twice my size, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I said, well, you gave him second and third degree burns. I was like, with hot grease. And it was his boss that was texting him about a work project, but she got in her head. And so I tell you, I say, if he was cheating, you can be morally right, but legally wrong. And I tell people all the time. So morally right, like everyone agrees, kind of like this. Everyone morally agrees she was in the right because she was a victim, because all stuff like that. Cool, I get it.
I don't agree with her. Actually, I think she was in the wrong.
And that's a different opinion, right? Because, but I'm saying, but the morally is like the generally known fact, right? You don't hit women, don't hit men, you don't steal, all those things, right? So morally, everybody can agree on that. Most people. And then you can be legally wrong. And then you can be legally wrong and morally right. So like, say for example, your significant other causing problems, you say, okay, I'm gonna lock them out. So morally, you can be right. You can lock them out so you don't get bothered, so they don't have access to you to bother you or to come to the house and do whatever. But legally, you'd be wrong because they have established residency there. So I try to explain this to people. It applies to a lot of different things because, you know, we get emotional. So like BMT is saying, you'll get somewhere and they're like, or like the person that commented, they're like, yeah, she had every chance to da-da-da-da-da-da. Well, I see it time and time again. And I've been guilty of it too. You know, I'm not perfect. I've had people I wanted to arrest, I couldn't arrest because I didn't have anything. I'm like, okay, cool. But somebody had to grab me, like, nah, just let it go. And you get emotionally invested. You get what's the term I'm looking for? Emotionally hijacked. I had to use my psychology brain. So you get emotionally hijacked. So now you're like, you're in it. Nobody can tell you anything. Just like with somebody you just minded business, somebody smacked you at the club, you're in it. That's a wrap. It's fight or flight mode. There's no, oh well, why did you hit me? Oh my God. No, you're in it. And nobody tell you otherwise. So if you end up tuning that dude up, like a mechanic shop, and then they're like, oh my God, right? But you're like, well, I didn't mean to, but you're in the moment. So like that person was saying, like she had a lot of opportunities to pull back, fully agree, based on whatever information they have, just going off the comment. Because I didn't get all the parts of the story. But at the same time, if somebody's emotionally hijacked, you might as well slap blinders on them. Because they're all they're seeing is whoever's in front of them. And you know, those people will say or do anything in that moment. So you have regular citizens that are pushed to the brink that will say and do anything that you would never think. So like going back to my story, this little girl, I mean she's an adult woman, but you know, super nice lady, you can look her up, never been arrested before, but she got pushed to that brink because she thought he was cheating all this time and did something like way on the other end. Like there was no balancing point. And then she was like, oh my God. And I'm like, well, it's too late now. You know what I mean? I got to take you to jail. So I just always try to remind people that dealing with these certain situations, you have to consider a bunch of different things. And like you're saying, Jazz, like BMT saying, critically thinking about the situation before making a knee-jerk reaction or looking at a headline and be like, oh, that's it. Like, no, we should always have a questioning mindset. And that goes with politics, that goes with friends, that goes with everything. You have a questioning mindset, you'll learn more about people. Because if you're talking about psychology, which I have my degree in, you're talking about environmental psychology, talking about nature versus nurture. You're talking about, in this case, with a woman and a son. Do you know about the Oedipus complex? Anybody?
Do you think that applies?
It very well could. It depends how long she's been single, her relationship with her son. So for those that don't know, the Oedipus complex is where
isn't that something that's from the son to the mother, though, not from the mother to the son? Correct.
So the son is infatuated with the mother, right? Because that's all he's known, and he can ultimately end up falling in love with his mother.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit of a reach because we don't really know the background.
I'm not saying it is. I'm just
in my mind on some Norman Bates shit.
No, not
that far. Not that far.
Here's how I am like this, and I tell this to a lot of females. when they said they're gonna get their nigga, and I said, okay, so I gotta get you first, and by the time your nigga get here, then I'll get his ass because he don't know where you at. And they're like, damn, BFT, you gonna go after the female? Fuck yeah! Once I take out the source, we can usually get the nigga when he get here. I'm sorry, but we're in the 2023, the year of violence. This social world bubble, this chivalry night shit, that night done been dead and gone and slayed by the dragon. Like, if y'all don't think these women can't,
I don't think that's true.
Thank you. I'm glad you don't.
To each of their own.
I'm raising 2 young black girls, so it's different from me.
That's fine. That's
I was
fine.
raised differently,
and I got 2 daughters, so that's fine how y'all believe. But like I told my daughter, I said, listen, baby, don't let no man hit you, but be mindful that same way you hit that boy, he can hit you back, and he can swing right back at you. So that's what I say is. But
that's my daughter's trained jiu-jitsu and wrestling and boxing. But that's because I'm her dad. It's different.
I definitely got one of them type of moms though. She trained me like, hey, don't you beat no woman, but don't let no woman beat you neither. So, I mean, I don't believe in no man putting their hands on no woman as being a child. You feel me? I got a mother. I'm the oldest child, so I got all my 3 sisters is younger than me. So yeah, growing up, we had fights. Don't get me wrong. You feel me? I done been there. But at the end of the day, bro, I don't believe no man just blatantly just going out and putting his hands on no woman. But I do believe in defending yourself. That's not the case here. Was no defending himself. He just definitely took off on her. I still want to know the depths of the beginning of that conversation before the footage. You know, what made this nigga so mad that he kept telling this woman, "Oh, shut the fuck up, I'm gonna knock your ass out."
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
No,
that's
it don't matter.
The thing, though.
On his
part. Let me chime in real quick. So basically, I got a couple of video clips that I clipped. They didn't download to the StreamYard, so I'm gonna present it. But one of the people who watched the argument, literally it escalated just for the fact that her food was ordered. She ordered her food to pickup spot, and so they already have it pre-ordered ready for you. And when she ordered it, she looked at her food. It wasn't prepared the way she asked for. So she asked him to redo it. So the dude that was waiting in line felt some type of way, like, lady, just get your food. Like, I'm not sitting here waiting for you to have them remake your shit. And she was like, no, they gonna make my shit. Like, fuck you talking about? I pay for this. So he was like, lady, like, I'm saying one more word, I'm about to beat your ass. I'm gonna knock you out. And that's why it escalated. Like, he just was.
He was already having a bad day.
He's just a bad person.
It never had nothing to do with her. He was already angry. And he was already angry, and it led to his demise. All right, and then I had that other question, man. So outside, the inside, I understand everything on the inside, but y'all just talking about is like an emotional state she was in at that time. But like the secondary footage, was the outside footage overkill? Like, do you agree that was overkill, or do you disagree? Like when she was telling her son basically running down, like the man trying to get away.
That's why I said she deserved it.
He's trying to get away, but like you telling your son already shook up. Now you telling him like continue, get him, like running down, like this is a grown man.
That's where like Jazz was asking, should she have been arrested?
Yeah.
So mind you, I only had pieces of it, so I'm putting it together as you guys tell me. And that's a big shift because now, like I tell people all the time, you at the bar, BMT, you work at the bar. I used to be a bouncer myself, and say 2 cats say, "Hey, I want to run the fade." Boom, 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 boom. They shoot the tips. Somebody loses. Cool. It's all good, right? Those times are over. But say they shoot the tips, and dude starts piecing them up, and then he goes, "Nah, you about to get this work." It starts drilling him into the floor. Now he's helpless, right? You went from mutual combat, or say somebody started it. You went from victim. Now you're the suspect. Because now you've used, like Jeff said, excessive force. So like me, con my nose, I used to fight, and I still train, do jiu-jitsu, wrestling, blah 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 blah. The average, and I'm not little, but I'm not tall, right? And if I was to put hands on somebody in the heat of the moment, and I start drilling somebody, I would get arrested. Not because I'm like fucking some super black belt or nothing, but because I use overwhelming force to stop the threat, and then I continued when they were helpless. Yeah. That would fuck me up. So now if you're saying that she's pushing the son, she's chirping at him, get him, right? And the son's like, oh shit, this is my mom, and this, and he fucking lays him out.
So wait, quick question. Where did y'all see where she said, go get him?
So I actually did the footage. Hold on. So I actually did the footage on my video where the charges dropped. There, I had all the sisterhood coming in my chat and shit, preaching their gospel and cackling. And I was like, I was like, all right, so once you pop him, and y'all gotta understand, this is why I said black people, y'all gotta learn the legalities of protecting with a firearm. Once you pop that person, and they walk out of the area and they're trying to, whatever, bleeding out, whatever, and you're pursuing after them, you are no longer the victim. Now you are.
I have to agree.
Right.
I agree.
You lose all that high ground. Oh, I fear for my life. Oh, I know, no, nigga. And that's on footage that they were walking with the pistol out there. His body didn't die inside. He died out there. If you walk behind him with the pistol,
she wanted his son to shoot somebody else that wasn't involved.
She wanted to. Okay, so I got you with
the
that.
Girlfriend.
The girlfriend, mind you, this is the sisterhood again. The sister.
When you say sisterhood, what do you mean?
That stand by me, that lean on me mode that
so,
we get into when they in the
that's a generalization, though. You got to be careful about that. It's a generalization.
Okay, so here's the thing about it that the women have to realize. There was a woman.
Fireworks.
There was a woman hyping him up. I believe, Con, if you listen to the video or any I put it in the chat for us in our chat, where there was a woman hyping him up, saying, "Get her ass." She should have kept her mouth shut. That was a woman saying that. So sometimes when you're in the heat of the moment, it's all you see is red. So she wanted to go get his ass also. She wanted to get her ass also. Right there, baby. You lost that shit. You lost that right there. Now it's her argument. It's the girlfriend argument versus that of the mama, Carlishia, and also the child. Now the girlfriend said, "Hey, that woman was going to try to shoot me, but her son didn't want to go through it." Something still clicked in him like, "Hey, hold on. She wasn't the one hitting you, mama. That person is gone." But see, that happens, you know what I'm saying? When you hot and you red, you don't see clearly. Your judgment is on blinders. And so this is what happens when you grow up in those type of erratic environments and you on that type of Mary J. Blige type of time where you just trying to take everybody out. So this type of issue, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is why I said, like, when I look at that, the fact that dude was yelling and acting the way he was and she had no fear in her heart, I was like, oh, this broad done seen some shit in her time. But who
is she?
The mama. The mama done seen some stuff.
What makes you think she had no fear in her heart? Because she wasn't backing down to him means that she wasn't afraid?
Okay, so I got you with that. So here's the thing about it is, some people who grow up in certain types of hostile environments, again, seeing certain types of displays of domestic, violent, or haphazard stuff like that, it becomes numb to them. It's just a normal Tuesday with a man raising their boys or somebody balling the fist or threatening. I've done seen that where a woman done eat 4 blows.
Who are you applying that to?
Applying that to a woman.
But which woman in this situation?
Woman that's still alive today that literally took her son and then blicky the man on the ground.
But you're not applying that to the woman who was instigating her man.
Hold on, wait.
To aggress upon another woman for no reason that we end up finding out. You know what I'm saying? Your background psychology is being placed on the wrong person in this situation, but I totally understand what you're saying.
So we can use that because the other woman was more so of a go in that type of environment that type of behavior of a man beating on her was normal. So
exactly.
So one woman had it to whereas to a man threatening her is a normalcy versus another woman a man saying, "Yo, if you don't shut up, I'm gonna knock you out." She's like, "Hey, let's shut your mouth or you're gonna get boxed up." So those type of female behaviors that we see in the community are definitely prevalent today, and we cannot pretend like they're not happening.
BMT, I got to ask you this though. BMT, I ask you this. So
go ahead.
This is something I think about, and it's a valid point, right? Because like you have to determine this thing. So like, look at someone like Layla Ali, right? Or Muhammad Ali, even Muhammad Ali, that iconic pose, right? Where he's sitting with the fist down, he laid the old boy out, right? Mind you, a woman's trying to give him that work, and he lays him out, bow, right? And in that moment, you have to just determine who's the victor, who's the loser, right? So if now societal norms, you place a woman in that position. If you saw a woman, which I know a lot of dope women that I train with at the gym, that are professional Muay Thai fighters, professional jiu-jitsu, like I'm talking about black belts, that would put most men to shame, right? It's fucking hilarious, actually. But you look at a woman that's like half the size of a normal man, and they're standing over their body. Not dead, but standing over the body. You're like, now you have to decide who's the dominant aggressor. Well, you have to decide.
The one who's not on the floor.
I'm sorry?
You said who's the dominant one, and I said the one who's not on the floor.
Right. But now here comes the count. Size, strength, skill. Those are so going back to what we were talking about, BMT, when you mentioned earlier about the rock, paper, scissors, size, strength, skill. Now you add in the factor of because she wasn't afraid, does that all make her the suspect or the aggressor? No. That might be a mother's maternal instinct to protect her child and protect herself. Maybe. And the other thing about that is I also tell people all the time, they're like, I tell people, and I know it sounds cliche, I tell people all the time, they said they're going to do this. They're going to call the cartel. They're going to call Jason Bourne. I'm like, look, unless there's some legal and tangible information that was going to happen, right? And I'll give you this example. Some guy who's a Latino who claims he's from this gang, and I'm coming back for you. So if I look up said person and he goes, oh, he might do that. That's reasonable. But if some person saying like Jazz said, who jumped out of the car on her because she thought to cut him off and started chirping, is that just shit talking, or is that a viable threat in the moment, right? So when you talk about the girlfriend, to me in my head, she's irrelevant. You can talk all the shit you want, First Amendment all day. You can talk all the shit you want. I don't give a shit. And dude can talk all the shit he want, blah, blah, blah. But once that boy shot that man inside, this is what it sounds like. He shot him inside. That was my understanding. And then when he went outside, like, oh shit, I'm out of here. So similar, like if someone breaks into your home, but then they turn tail when you see you have a gun or a weapon or whatever, and you give them one in the back, that's different because now you go from victim to suspect. You're trying to lead. And don't get wrong. Morally, they're completely wrong. Morally, legally, they'd be the victim because they were trying to flee and use overwhelming force to end them. So going back to your situation, it doesn't matter what the girlfriend said of the guy. It doesn't matter what he said, and it doesn't matter what she said in the moment. Well, it matters, but it's not like the deciding factor. In the sense of if he hit her in the store and she's like, oh shit, and she's like, oh shit, she's like, hey, tells her son, hey, drop him. So he cracks one off, right? And then he falls out. And now she's like, and him, that's where the story changes. But but the words in between don't matter. The action matters, and then the intent, because that's what you have to prove in court: intent and action.
Correct.
So now I'm gonna transition to some of these other comments, and then we're really gonna like get into some of these convos. So we already hour in. Let's try to like, you know what I mean? Let's pinpoint.
Let's do it.
All right. So I know I gotta read again. So give me a second. So Hair Politics 4878. She said, sue the city. You need to leave the city immediately. Somebody said she can do both at the same time. Somebody said facts. Laugh my ass off. No, she can't. She a dead woman alongside her son, husband, if she stays in the state. Period, because the family member of the deceased. How do y'all feel about that? I know Jazz, you already said she should leave the city.
Well, she probably can't leave the city because she's probably gonna have to appear in court for sure, 1000%. She got to appear in court.
Why would she have to?
She got to.
Because you have to. You
her
shall.
charges were dropped, right?
So
Right.
the charges can be dropped. However, there still can be a hearing, right? And if they say 100% drop, you're innocent, blah blah blah, right? Cool, but there still will be generally, there's proceedings after the fact, right? Because the family of the deceased still gets copy of the report, copy of the investigation, because all public record, and they are given that option. So in that time, if they say, hey, we don't need you for anything else, this is an open and shut case, that's a TV thing usually. Then like it's not like I broke into Jufy's car and they caught me on camera like this, and then whatever. That's open and shut, right?
So if the charges are dismissed, can they still be called back into court?
Yeah.
Yes.
So there can be that's criminally. So this is other thing people don't normally know.
Different levels of court.
There's criminally and there's civilly.
So what you're saying is that his family can sue her.
Sue her civilly.
Right.
And I absolutely understand that, but she wouldn't have to be in the city for that.
It depends. In Illinois, I don't know the laws, so don't quote me. But if she's lucky, maybe she can hire a lawyer or get like a pro bono lawyer, given her case, to appear for her in court.
Yeah.
If
unless the court demands her to
family
show up.
chooses to take the time to pursue that through the courts.
Criminals been doing
If they do that right.
Like the criminal charges have been dismissed and they can leave the city.
Listen, so
they can't, and unless the court demands them to come back, then I like agreeing with you.
Right.
I would dip out.
So
I would dip out.
Well, I
because-
totally understand in the situation that the courts asked them to come back, but like, did you guys look into the other family? Do you think that they're going to be pressing charges on Carlishia?
It's just a
Or do you
possibility.
think that they're going to do that street justice
Like that
kind of thing?
It's a possibility.
That's not what we're talking about? Okay.
I simply said this, and I said this, and that's why everybody. I guess I gotta be the asshole tonight. I said if she really cared about her life like that, I know, but shit, everybody said, "Oh yeah, sue the city, do this." All right, keep on risking your life.
I wouldn't even sue the city, honestly. I just dip out.
If you think now the cops are going to really watch your back now, then all right, that's one thing you already did. But now you're talking about sue the city, so you got to now definitely got to hang around for some stuff, and you got to go get a lawyer.
You can do it through a lawyer.
Huh?
Well, okay. You could,
but they don't have to live in the same environment.
I agree with BT on this fact that if there's no criminal charges, that means the DA and the police department are like cool, right? But like going like what you said, Jazz, was she detained or arrested? Was she booked in the jail, like booking photo, the whole 9 yards, or was she detained, questioned, and then let go? There's two different things.
She want to do press conferences.
If you're telling me she was booked, then
did you guys look into this?
Yeah.
No, I already said that. I reserve the right to be wrong because I didn't do all my research.
I did.
So I am all for that phrase right there.
So I got it. So so she was fully booked. She could sue the city for like maybe a wrongful arrest, or maybe
she's suing for emotional trauma because basically.
The right lawyer, she could win. And normally, if depending on what she's asking, the city might be like, "Here, just take it." That's it. Because somebody died. Her child had to shoot this man who was supposedly this monster. Not saying he wasn't. Not saying he was. So like, if you frame it that way, yeah, for sure. I'm just saying, like for purposes, they can frame it that way, and then she was like emotional distress. My son. Yeah. Blah blah blah, and the city were like, we don't feel like having this drama. Kick this check, kick rocks.
So
they could do that,
that's what they asking for. I mean, they can settle. The city can settle. You feel what I'm saying? To allow it not to actually go to a hearing. You feel me?
They can.
But at the
It's a possibility.
Now you want to be scared and not go to the court, huh? Okay.
Hold on. So let me pull this up as well. All right, let me pull this up. Okay, lady, stop it, because we on this subject. That's the reason why I want to bring it up. Jazz, sorry it's over your face, but lady, stop it. What are you suing the city for? That man had no right to put his hands on you, but sometimes the best thing to do is walk away. No winners here. A man is dead. Your 14-year-old son is a killer now. Here you are seeking a payday. Sorry, but this is disgusting.
Uh-oh.
And then somebody else says it is the utmost importance that we prioritize the well-being of the teen boy involved in this tragic incident. Taking a life or being caught up, such a traumatic event can have such lasting effects.
I saw this coming. I saw this coming.
That's also true.
I honestly do feel like by her suing the city, she's taking away some protection being in Chicago. Because family is the street side. They own you. Now, if you sue the city, you have no protection from law enforcement. Because why are we going to sit here and protect you?
Not true.
Sitting here trying
Not
to
true.
take money out of our pocket.
I mean, I totally understand that. And those are the black police. I do not want police in my city.
No. I'll tell you like this. And I'll tell you from my end, there are a hell of people that sue the city. And we still show up, right? Because it's our job. It's what you agree to do when you step in that role. So maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. I don't give a fuck.
One or two cops.
Exactly.
A couple of y'all still having some remorse for her on the force and patrolling that neighborhood, feeling sorry and wanting to do right. It's different from the whole unit sitting here, okay, like whatever happened to her happened, and then if she dies, that saves us. You feel me? We probably could just pay the family a little bit if they still try to push it, but other than that, it's on her now.
But that's not what that's currently, because I always talk about the history of policing. What is always fair. Modern policing generally is fair for the most part. I use that in quotes, for the most part. But for her to, I agree with the first part of the thing. It was like that suing the city kind of takes away from the victim portion of her story. And then the other comment was like, what about the son? The son now has caught a body. That man has taken somebody's life long before he ever should have, or if at all, to protect her. And it can, and again, I have to think about every avenue, right? Because that's what I normally think about. It's, what does that appear in court? What does that appear to the average person? What does that appear to the average lay person? So ultimately, it hurts her son, because it's different if she said, can I just get the city to pay for therapy for my son? That would be more than admirable. And nobody would contest that.
Who would give it to her?
No. I'm saying if she sued the city, only asking for relocation fees and paid mental health for her son, nobody would blink an eye at that. But if she's saying, I want money for the city for this traumatic event, for emotional trauma is a broad term. What does that mean? Or I had to watch my son shoot this person after I told him to, or I had to, this dude hit me and I was in shock.
On the city side, that comes from the arrest and the time. Like the way that they investigated, the determination, things like that.
And it could be the city as far as a wrongful arrest, or maybe an improper investigation, but clearly they did both correctly, because she got off. So because she was released. There's no charges at all.
I'm gonna be honest.
Expeditiously. But I guess
I'm not all that. I don't have no hopes and dreams and shit. I'm gonna tell you right now, most of the time when Negroes get this damn money, they don't get out the hood. They don't leave out the environment. The dude who got choked out of New York, his baby mama was still in the same project area.
You talking about Eric Garner?
Yeah. She didn't leave. Like
I know, because there's so many. It's
right.
Horrible,
so,
but yes, I know.
Like, a lot of these people, when they get their settlements, their families don't leave those areas. They stay right there. Like,
but it also comes to question, and it's only in our community: do you leave or do you stay and then you put into the community?
No.
Bingo, that's the question.
No, stop this Wakanda
shit. That's what I was just about to ask.
What do you mean stop this Wakanda shit? Like, how can you call the possibility?
No, it ain't not. No, my responsibility is getting my kids and my children and all my people. Listen, Boosie said it. Ice Cube said it. God damn, y'all learn shit from Nipsey Hussle. Listen, I can do good for y'all by getting
all these rich black people that do nothing for their communities directly.
Oh.
Let's keep listening
Well,
to them.
wait, well, hold on.
See how I did Nipsey
I was rocking with you for a second.
Nipsey.
Ice Cube, Nipsey, they've all been documented to go back to the community and give back. Now, not all rich black people, or not all rich people in general, but at least the small few have known to go back and give the community. That's all I'm saying.
Now, the thing about it is this. You don't have to be there boots on ground to help your people. You can do that just like how you can do that from, hey,
that's what I do. I'm boots on ground.
Right. You don't have to do that. If you want, listen, bro, if you want to hire Ninja Killer, hey, bro, what you trying to do, man? I'm trying to do something for the kids. Hey, bro, how about I give y'all the money for the school equipment, bro? He don't got to be there physically. I don't got to be there physically or all that stuff. Like, it's crazy because everybody feels that, oh, you got to be there. Mind you, they already are verbally putting out that type of energy towards your son. Fuck that bag of trying to say I'm hardcore. You better get into that feminine nature and get your child out of there and say, hey, we're going to relocate down south. We're going to go do our life. It's the summertime, so let's get the U-Haul and let's get out of here. Now,
so quick question: Is that would you not say that that's victim blaming?
Absolutely.
No, that's called protection. I
would actually say that it's like you want her to just let a wrong go and to just move on with her life. And it's just
that's victim blaming.
Now, let me chime in.
No protection. Black boys get no protection.
Let me chime in.
Black boys get no protection. Black women get no protection. Black men get no protection. So instead of just thinking of ourselves and our family, let's have a discussion instead of just having preconceived notions. You know what I'm saying? About the different possibilities of the things that you're saying are very solo, but then you're also speaking in a community sense, and that BNT, I'm confused by that.
Okay, I'm gonna let my boy finish. I'm gonna let my guy.
All right, so look, so here's my thing. Like, yes, do I understand that as a woman, you saying that to think of the broader picture, right? To be like, okay, you got a son, you feel me? The argument, wherever the case may be, may not be that deep, but at the end of the day, she is a Black woman who has to be in her masculine because she's a single Black mother. And at the end of the day, we can't blame her for being in her masculine when she's raising a young man in the streets of Chicago. On top of that, I'm pretty sure, like you said it yourself, BMT. You said the fact of her body language and how she responded when being approached by this man, how it appeared to you that she wasn't shaking or moved, that this ain't her first instance, you feel me, of dealing with men who are aggressive, because you got to think of the environment that they put in. So of course, stand her ground, because just the same way that we raise our Black men to be strong and defend themselves at all costs and shit like that, is the same thing that Black women are taught, because not only are they in the same environments, but also because they women and they get attacked and they get assaulted all the fucking time. So she's also trying to feed her son. This man is between her son and they meal. Any lioness, any parent is going to be like, nah, 10 toes down. My son is finna eat today. I'm not finna run up out of here because you feel some type of way about me taking up the line. Nah.
And then where does that end?
So I don't think it's cool to be like, oh, she should have just ran away from the situation, yada, yada, yada. She was poised. She had her hands to herself. She didn't do all this extra, you feel me? Antics that some women do when they get in the argument. She kept her hands to herself. Her body language was leaned backwards, you feel me? So she wasn't antagonizing him. She just simply stood her ground, which any person of character would do, especially a Black mom or a Black woman. We know we don't come from women with weak backbones. You know what I'm saying?
Or just especially a person who has to feed their kids.
My mom I don't know.
Well, I'll say this. So guess what? She chose the path. Good luck. That's all I'm gonna say. She chose this path. I don't nobody trying to share me no GoFundMe, none of this. Hey, what we gonna do? No. She chose the path of the warrior. Now she got to walk the path again. I said, well, You know, one thing my father said, son, before you start making reckless decisions, look at your 4 children before you do something reckless. Now, okay, so she got that. Let her have that. But see, right now, that energy right now, when y'all reading those messages, Con, was turned towards her boy. And when I was bringing up, well, it's summertime. And she got all the, he got to live his life. He got to live his full life. And I remember a lot, I hear a lot of them stories about them boys going towards school, the park, and all that stuff. Hey, if those men weren't saying nothing before when they were in the incident with her, you think they're going to start speaking up for him now? You think they're going to start speaking? No, see, I'm in the world of reality right now. I'm in the world of reality. And I ain't hear nobody say, oh, yeah, don't worry, young blood. We got your back. Don't worry. Nah, he ain't going to always have that pistol on him, Con. God knows he ain't
never going to have that pistol on him because that wasn't his pistol in the first place.
Guess what? So, but see, those other people in the church, we don't know their mindset. We don't know that. But see, they're telling him it is for what it is. And see, that's the thing about it is, it doesn't make you a coward for knowing when to leave. Shout out to Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when his goddamn mama said, hey, you're moving with your auntie, uncle, and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Now, Will said out his own mouth, hey, bro, I could have stayed in Philly, but I probably would have been dead. So guess what? My aunt, they moved me to somewhere better. But you know what? Have at it. But you know what? One thing remains true. There are more dead black men in the prison and in the grave for these type of actions. Not saying that is a dishonorable one, but that still remains a fact. Now, he chose it. He stand by it, and I respect the young man. But now he has to own it. He has to own this. And I'm saying that's heavy. You're not there, Con. Neither is Jew, neither is Ninja, and neither am I. That man got to stand on. That young man got to stand. I'm calling him a man now. Because he already he already got blood on his hand. So now he's a man now. He got to stand on his own. So good luck, bro. This ain't, y'all think I'm being rude or uncalculated. I'm just looking at the world for what it is. It is for what it is. So he ain't gonna have no, he ain't no damn Tekashi 6ix9ine. He ain't got no money like that. If she already got to try to figure out how to get a lawyer or to go, good luck.
So my thing is this. I look at it this way, right? I look at that ever since I started studying psychology, right? Before I got my degree, I was out the military, and I was like, what's going to help me? I didn't want to do criminal justice. So I look at psychology, right? A lot of things in psychology is like cognitive behavioral, right? So why we do what we do. Environmental psychology, nature versus nurture. Those are like psychology 101, right? It helps you understand people, how they grow, how they develop, how they make general choices in life. You know, one parent, two parents, no parents, and it can kind of help you understand the choices that people make, right? So I look at our culture from a lot of different perspectives. So I look at our culture as, for example, a broken home. I had a broken home. Both my daughters had broken homes, right? But I was lucky enough to have my dad who taught me how much love a parent can give a child. Not even just a black parent, just a parent in general. And then now raising young black women and how he raised me to treat women and all things. So now my daughters are much more savvy, and they don't have to live the life I lived in order to be that way, right? And I think we're going towards the whole core of what we're talking about is protecting black women, black men, just our culture in general. I protect my children by giving them the knowledge. I give them the freedom to speak to me and their feelings, and we talk about really hard subjects, and we understand. And also train my daughters, because I also grew up with somebody like Cynthia Rothrock, Lucy Lawless as Xena, Grace Jones, and Conan. Like we're talking about Eartha Kitt. We're talking about she was in Foxy Brown. Not Pam Anderson, Pamela. I'm blanking. Pam Grier, thank you. But like strong black women like that. So that's how I raise my daughters, right? And now look at our culture, right? So then there's a reason like my daughters are now going to be 14 and 17 in August, right? And I look at how do I contribute to that? Because I had a son, I would treat my son the same way, but there's obviously different nuances, right? Because I'm doing this on my own. And so I look at our culture and like the reason I never hit my daughter since they were like super small, and that's like a pow pow. Don't do that shit, right? I think the approach my dad did. My dad drilled in my head why he told me what he did, how, and I understood, and I was like, oh, and the light bulb clicked. And now he used some colorful words, a little bit of like, hey, but I got it. And so with my daughters, I'm like, hey, blah 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 blah, right? Because in turn, what they've shown me as they've become young adults, like young teenagers, everything I've told them has stuck. Nobody's gonna treat me this way. My dad always treats me this way. He protects me. He does this, this, and this. And if for some reason I'm not there, they can do it themselves. They're not stupid to the tricks, the things like that. I think we as Black community should be continuing to train our youth, right, to be I use the term loosely in as far as Black community because there's a lot of great Black warriors that people, that's a whole nother conversation, but like Spartans, like samurai, right? Your scholars, your horsemen, your swordsmen, all that stuff. You train your kids on all these different things to be so evolved that they come across something, they're ready for it. And I don't think we do that enough as a community. I also know as a community, as far as,
So, quick question. Did anybody, let me go to the regular. Did anybody address the fact that she's being greedy for suing about this situation? Just show up. You ain't gotta give your opinions, but show of hands if you feel like she's being greedy. You look like you wrestling.
No, I know she's being greedy. Okay.
Oh, so it's not a feeling. It's a fact.
I wrestle with it because it meant to me, it's always the intention. So is the intent to get paid or because she truly feels she was wrong and doesn't understand how the system works? So that's how my brain thinks.
My question to you, David, and everybody else that you feel me could chime into this specific topic, right? Because you as a cop can understand this a little better. And I don't know if anybody's familiar with Robert Ramo. Now, this is also...
Was that the recent one happened in France?
No, this is in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
In Chicago, because I remember we talked about different departments and different policing and shit like that. Things may work different, but this happened also in Chicago. This was a mentally ill Black man that was called. The police called to basically calm him down, and Robert shot him down without really any hesitation, and he sued the family of the person that he murdered for $10 million for emotional distress and trauma that he went through. Even though he
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, crazy, right?
He killed Robert Relmo, an officer in Chicago who shot a Black kid.
I heard you, it just didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it don't make sense to me either. So he shot down a Black kid for, he was mentally disabled and he came off aggressive to him. He shot him down and basically he sued the family for what he went through for shooting that kid down for $10 million. So if it's okay for him to sue,
I wonder where people come up with these numbers, but okay, keep going.
Right. Probably their greedy lawyer.
So I look at it this way, right? Like I shit you not, just last week, in a part of town, it was like more like a hipster area, right? There's a kid, young Black kid. He's probably like maybe early 20s. He has he's on a spectrum, autism. He loves to walk around with a toy gun. I'm talking about Nerf, like you can't mistake it. It's a Nerf gun, not like a real gun painted something. It's a Nerf gun. We see him, we're like, all right, man, hey, go home. He goes, no, I'm fighting because he wants to play cops with robbers. Cool. And so we just ignore him. We all know it, right? Because mind you, he's almost been shot a couple of times because he had guns that were like blacked out. For sure. So fast forward, we know that's what he does. Guess what? They called, there's a Black man with the gun, and it's this, and this, and he's over by the kids, and we're like, we're not going because we know, right? It's similar to the call I saw in Florida where there was the young man, I don't know if he had Asperger's or something, And the guy that worked with him was like, "Hey, don't shoot him. This is my client or my student or whatever." And the officer in Florida, I guess, ultimately shot him because he had a toy train.
That was in Florida.
Yeah, and to me, again, while I'm very sympathetic to the officer because I've been in those situations before, time and time again, where I have to make last second decisions. At the same time, I'm like, what is the totality of everything? If somebody's like, "Hey, sir, by the way, he doesn't have a gun. He has this," and I'm like, "Are you sure?" He's like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool, no problem." But if he's like, if you're so vapor locked, where you're like not listening, all you hear is gun, that's a little bit different. And I understand where you can be like that from an officer perspective because people can tell you whatever. Oh, he's not dangerous, right? Heard that one before. And then I had to fight this dude on PCP, right?
Wow.
Well, he just smacked me a little bit, but your whole face is purple, and he's right there. And I'm like, "Hey, stop." He goes, "Nah, guess what? We're fighting in the living room." You know what I mean? So I take what people tell me, and I would think most normal, like, and I won't say normal because everyone's different, but the most competent, normal officers that are patrolling, they think outside the box. I'm like, okay, is this practical? Does this work? That's normally how our brains think. So if it's like, oh, you said he has what? He has this? Okay, cool. Let me figure out what's going on. Hey, I'm such and such, blah, blah, blah. How you feeling today? Blah, 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 blah. I don't know, right? This again, I can only speak for my department, how we do. And I think it's in bad taste if for some strange reason, if you shot somebody, let's just say you shot somebody, all of you, right, in the same position, you perceived a weapon and you shot this young man because he did like this whatever movement, right? Cool. If you didn't get prosecuted based on video camera and all stuff like that, I think it's in a horrible, not bad taste, horrible taste to sue the family for emotional distress. Because understanding the relationship with the community of law enforcement, especially the Black community, and there's ridiculousness on both sides, like, you know, from police, and there's ridiculous from the community because unrealistic standards, right? Because on one hand, maybe the police don't understand the history of Black people. On one side, the Black people don't understand the procedures of police and why we do things, right? Modern times, not back in the day. I don't count for back in the day. I didn't live back then. I only had accounts from my dad. My dad was born in 1949. So pre-Jim Crow, went to Vietnam, came back, like all the stories he passed down to me. Modern policing. So shooting that young man and then suing his family for most stress is, if anything, maybe should have sued the city. But the family, you just killed their, even if it's righteous, even if it doesn't say it's righteous, you killed this young man and then you sued the family. That's, yeah, I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me at all.
Phone real quick, bro. I just text you something. Go ahead.
I'm keeping it at that other subject of, and the subject is about protecting Black women, right? And
well, right now we still talking about the specific thing about suing, and is it okay based on, you know, the emotional trauma of, you know, when somebody gets killed or you kill somebody, whatever the case may be. You said out your mouth that she was greedy for suing for emotional trauma, and that's the reason why I brought up his situation. So where you at with that? And then we will transition to Black men protecting Black women.
She's trying to get a bag. It ain't about no trauma. She's trying to get a bag. That's all it is. We're in an era now, and I see it time to time, over and over. This is a bag. Everybody knows, especially hell nowadays. Shit, it's almost like even the cops don't even want to touch the criminal, and they're like, shit. If I damn grab this dude or tackle him to the ground, they go like, oh my god, this dude broke.
Not if you know your job. I do it every day. If you know your job, you know what you're doing. I'll put work in, and I just articulate my report.
That's cool.
I agree.
That's cool what you're saying, Ninja. But I'm speaking for my area, and a lot of my area. So in my area, this is the reason why there's more private security, and this is why there's more private agencies blowing up. The cops don't want to go and police and deal with the Negro. They're like, nah, fuck that. Y'all on your own. Y'all shoot yourself. Y'all kill yourself. Y'all deal with each other. You know, and honestly, it's probably for the best. Because then guess what?
Whoa, I wouldn't say that now. Hold up. I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
No, but here's the thing about the ladder. See, this I don't pussyfoot around with this.
I ain't pussyfooting around either. Just because.
Ninja, can I finish my statement?
Go ahead.
Thank you. The thing about it is this. The thing about it is the black man has never truly. It's been a long time since he's had the police and deal with his own. And if honestly we're talking about thriving and actually dealing with each other, like, oh man, the educated don't want to deal with the pookie. Guess what you got to do? You got to learn how to police each other instead of always looking towards, well, I'm gonna call the police or this and that. Now, guess what? We're gonna call the brothers and they're gonna come upstairs and we're gonna have this conversation and we're gonna have to handle it our own way. Now, other groups, I don't see them calling no black people to come police them, but we've been having other groups police us. And I'm not gonna lie, and there's nothing against them, because even I've been part of that affiliation group. But I feel like, we're now in an era at some point, black people, black men, you're going to have to start policing your own. At this point, this is why they're kind of like off to the side. I mean, we ain't learned nothing since COVID that, hey, those system shutdowns, ain't no law enforcement were trying to run up in my areas. They said, hey, the sheriff said, hey, y'all, every man who got a firearm, Godspeed. If it ain't life and death, he ain't coming. So we knew what time it was. We knew what time it was at that time. Now, that get y'all in the metropolitan area, I'm in the South. Black men, if you really want to start seeing change or you still want to start doing some stuff, that means you got to be out there. You can't be afraid if you see them boys shooting dice on the curb and you acting all scary. And what's your first move going to be? Pull your gun? Or you going to actually go over there and actually talk to them and say, hey, y'all, don't be smoking that stuff around that school over there, man. And they say, man, fuck you, Buster. Now, see, it's easy to say that when there's a badge, there's a bulletproof vest, and you got a union behind you. Versus you don't have that behind you, and it's just you. And either they're going to tell you that, hey, you've been putting time in with your community, or you haven't. So looking at her right now, she's going to get that bag. I'm sorry, I didn't hear her say nothing about, I would like for me and my son to be bereaved with some kind of help with our mental health therapy, or like we need a counseling. That one we're talking about getting a check. And it is what it is. I get it. Get your check, boo. But shit, I mean, don't make it seem like you.
Well, don't you feel like even with the smallest issues where they have offended us or done something to breach, it should be pressed a hard line so we can start normalizing our protection and our rights being respected? Because I feel like, again, I agree with Jazz that if this was a white woman, you feel me, and put in that same scenario, I don't believe that there would have been any type of arrest. And if it was an arrest, it definitely wouldn't have been a white woman. It probably would have been just her son. But I don't believe that it would have been both. And I don't believe that it would have been a $3 million bond before that they actually did their actual real investigation before doing all that shit. So
I like watching Ninja Twitch, but the thing about it is I've in my time working for my private sector, I've arrested a lot of Karen. You know, if they say, you can't touch me, you know who my daddy is, you know how much money I got, and I say, I don't care, bitch. Like, I'm still arresting your ass. And clink, clink, I sit their ass right there. And guess what? At some point, now we're in this digital media age. Once you turn on that body cam and you start letting it roll, that's how they say, Ninja, that's your lawyer. That's going to be your lawyer. So once I turn that shit on, she start talking, I shut up.
What's going on, Jay? Appreciate you chiming in.
I get what you're saying, Con. Yeah. Get that damn, yeah. Hold on. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I get it. If you can win, but she, like now in the days, is that of going against the establishment of certain establishments. Like I said, Jesse, what's that? Jesse Lee, whatever that dude from Empire, done already proved how corrupt Chicago is, man. Like we don't know how
Juicy Smollett.
Fuck Empire. But we already know
never not calm juice. Yeah.
We already know how.
Hey! Do not knock the whole empire on one family member, nigga.
You know what?
It's too funny. It's too funny.
I fuck with Lucian. I fuck with Cookie. They held it down. I'm just looking at it that we've been screwed over a lot of time, and there are very few good officers out there. You know what I'm saying? But the thing about
it's actually not. There's a lot. There's actually a lot. I'm gonna tell you like this. So there's a couple of things you brought up.
Right.
So there's the aspect of like was she white or black, right? And again, I can only speak from where I'm at. I don't give a fuck what you are. You go in handcuffs, I figure what the fuck's going on. I don't give a fuck. You can be green, you can be Martian, you can be a mole man. Don't give a fuck. Right? Because somebody lost their life. I need to determine, was it for a righteous reason? Was it not righteous? Was it some shit in between, right? That's one part. Second part is you mentioned about our people and like fuck them if they whatever. No, like and I tell you like this. I learned this during the George Floyd riots. I learned this verbatim. I know people that knew me since I was 15, since I was 20, since I was 21. I'm 38. They know me and they're like, motherfucker, you a cop? I'm like, yeah. They're like, damn. They're like, I don't trust cops, so I trust you because they know me, right? So I don't betray that. I refuse. So I refuse to give up no matter how many times I see our people fail or you know, because there's times when people are guilty in the sense of like they did something wrong, they got caught, cool. You hold them accountable. I'm held accountable, regardless.
Minority, bro. You do know that, right? You do know you.
I'm bro. You want to joke about minority? Look at my water bottle. You know what that is?
Okay.
That's Token.
Yeah.
From South Park.
Yeah, I know.
That's my internal joke because I know. Right?
But I'm saying,
because I know, but I never give up on my people, and I never give up on trying to connect with them and educate them on being police. So I asked a bunch of people during a protest, for example. They were like taking pictures, fucking police, blah, 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 right? Mind you, they don't know me. They don't know I'm with the shits. They know how I grew up. They don't know all these things, right? But when at work, I'm two different people. I have to be professional. And they're like, what are you going to do about blah, 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 blah? And I said, well, what I'm doing now. I said, making sure that when I go out, you know, everything's fair, everything's impartial, you know, and done with a little bit of humanity, right? Because everyone thinks they deserve a ticket. Everyone thinks they deserve a ticket. I'm sorry. Everyone thinks they don't deserve a ticket because they're not a real criminal. So, for example, I pull somebody over and they say, oh, where you pull me over? What are everyone else speeding? I'm like, hey, hold up. I saw you doing this thing, you specifically. So I'm talking to you. But what everybody else? Something that's not about everybody else. It's about you. Right? And then they're like, well, just let me go because blah, blah. I'm like, oh, so you want preferential treatment. So you want me to do what everyone else doesn't want the police to do or they think we do. She's like, well, I said, no. So you want me to just stop? We won't stop the traffic stop. We won't go pull over somebody else who's doing something like bad. Right? And they're like, oh. No. I'm going to treat you like everybody else. As if you don't like it, I'll call my sergeant. That's my thing. I'm on top of my shit at work. I'll call my sergeant. You can tell him exactly what you told me. You want preferential treatment because you feel like you're not a victim, blah, 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 blah. Right? So there's 3 reasons that I've proven people call the police. They have a legitimate emergency, they want to scare somebody, or they want somebody to go to jail. I tell people all the time, I'm not scaring nobody. That's not my job. I'm not your bodyguard. I'm not your intimidation factor. And I'm not taking somebody to jail if I don't have to, based on the law. Well, he did this. Okay, that doesn't mean he's going to jail. That means you need to do X, Y, and Z to get him out of your house, or to let him back in, or so on and so forth. Well, why'd I call you then? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just telling you how the law works.
I'm asking this.
That's how I get down. So,
BMP got a question.
I'm asking this next. after a court case, what do y'all do with the witness? Y'all send them back into population?
Bro, I'm in the trenches. I don't know. That's above me. What I've seen is say it's domestic violence. Victim, suspect, both appear in court. They call me in court. I show up. What did you see? This is what I saw. This is injuries. These are the pictures. This is the statement I took from said person. This is the statement from said person. They put it all together. And based off of that, they make a decision, right? If they, for some reason, feel like, which I've only seen like twice, they say it wasn't enough. Okay, cool, no problem. Not my problem. I did my job. I did an investigation. I did this. And like somebody mentioned earlier, if it's just somebody's word against somebody else's word, we always, well, I would hope, we'll always look for a independent third party. So like a restaurant worker from over across the street, a random jogger who's walking their dog, somebody riding a bicycle to corroborate what happened. But if somebody's in court and the judge says X, Y, and Z, then I did my job. I don't know what else to do. I do my job the right way every time.
Right. So they go right back. So they go right back to the populace. So that's pretty
bro. I've arrested people that morning and seen them before I got off work. I work 10-hour days. Well, I arrested right in the morning because I knew they had a warrant and they're out before I get back.
So you answered my question. So after it's all said and done, they back in the populace with
depends. So it depends. It depends on the crime. It depends on the warrant and depends on the severity of the crime. Somebody who does domestic violence is not walking out the gate unless they bail out after I arrest them. Somebody who does murder, definitely not going anywhere. Somebody who does grievous bodily harm, like less than murder, but like say you maim somebody, like they don't have a leg, they have a big scar, you're not getting out until you see a judge.
You hear what I'm saying? After the court case, after the witness done did what they did, your job is done. That's tax
at that level, yes.
Okay, so
however,
they back in population.
But if I'm doing my job properly, if I know they got out, or if I'm just driving around and I see them, guess what? I'm gonna hit the brakes. I'm gonna stop and talk to them. Damn, man, you got out?
That's not enough. You just so happen to be driving by, you see them. Oh, I'm about to go out.
Because this is the thing.
That's not the same.
Again, this is where I'm at. If I arrested them when they did X, Y, and Z, that's the greatest I can do. If I see them after the fact, and I'm like, I know the crime I arrested them for, or I know the crime somebody else, one of my partners arrested them for, they shouldn't be carrying a gun, knife, whatever. And I'm like, hey, yo, let me holler at you. And they run, which a lot of people do. I'm faster than I look, so they lose. Or they're trying to fight me, they lose. Or they're like, oh, you can't touch me, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hey, stop. You're detained. You're not free to go. Why? Because I know you have a fourth waiver. So that's out the gate. You can't search me. That's out the gate, right? Because I know the game. You have to know the game in order to do the job. You can't be like, I think, maybe, or no. That's where officers fuck up. And that's their problem. That's individual officers' problem. You have to know the rules to play the game.
All right, so look.
So if I
hold on real quick, I'm gonna transition to this last screenshot, and then we're gonna get into the last topic of the night. 1 second. I'll bring up my. We ain't gonna read the whole thing, obviously, unless you want me to. But she was going from the victim to appearing greedy in my eyes. The charges were dropped after an investigation was completed. She left the scene, so wasn't able to give her side of the story. So the initial story that the cops went with was from the guy's girlfriend. I am glad that her charges were dropped, but the real victim is the son. Our community has normalized kids being the protectors of their household, son, husband. If she had, I don't know, something left when given the opportunity. Oh, she would have left if the opportunity was given. Opportunity, none of this would have happened. The abuser got what he deserved, and I am not excusing his actions, but I want our women to realize that arguing with a man is usually not going to end well, so it is best to avoid it. He told her to get her food and leave at least twice, and even told her what he was going to do, and she still couldn't shut up. I see the scenario of women arguing with men play out in our community
That's
too
just crazy.
often, and it usually ends with a black man dead because now a black man has to protect her because her mouth has written behind can't cash. Now, that's a lot to say, but
Yeah.
let's start with our new guest. You know what I'm saying? Y'all say what's happening.
Hey.
Hi.
What's happening?
Oh, we got a couple. You feel me?
Hi. Annie. You funny.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Shayla. I just put Shay though, but I'm Shayla. It's nice to meet all y'all. I've been coming like in and out on the conversation. I was driving and then I was listening to it. And then I'm here watching a baby right now, so I got a little sidetracked and stuff. But yeah, so I'll just chime in whenever I feel it's necessary. I don't like talking about nothing that I'm not sure of though. So
Same thing with Deidre. Hey, how are you? Introduce yourself. You hear yourself?
Me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I said introduce
Oh,
yourself.
my bad. Yeah. My name is Deidre. I'm from Sacramento. Hello. And I'm just chilling at the house right now. Yesterday was my birthday, so I don't got too much going on.
happy belated.
Okay,
again,
happy belated.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Okay.
But this should be celebrated.
Okay, that's
Excuse
what's
me?
up. Okay.
So
Yeah,
I'll
so-
say this: I was writing with the comment until it was like this. So like going back to what you said, Con, I'm split on where she was trying to get a bag or not, right? Because again, what she perceived, what happened, like it's her vision of the story. So Monday morning quarterbacking, which again, like BMT said, I hate doing, but looking at what we have and listening to you guys educate me about the subject because I reserve the right to be wrong. It does seem like she's going after the money in a sense, unless she specifically states, "I want this money to just relocate us and to help my 14-year-old, I think he's 14-year-old son, kind of work through this incident." Other than that, it does come off like just generally to listen to it. It comes off like she's trying to catch a right, but I'm saying it sounds like she's trying to get money. Maybe and maybe at the end she's like, maybe there's not much money to move us out to get us wherever. But excuse me, in today's day and age of court of public opinion, it's like you have to sway the people before you sway the court. To me, you have to be legally correct, not morally. You have to be legally correct. And if you're legally correct, you'll sway the public regardless. That's the way I think.
So let me ask this, and I don't think that's always the case. But with that being said, right? Show of hands, who felt like she should have just shut the fuck up?
Ooh, that's a broad comment. That's a broad comment because you can't just tell anyone, let alone a black woman, hey, just shut the fuck up.
It's
You
like,
can't just,
I mean, she could have.
I'm not saying that we us can tell her to shut the fuck up, but viewing
no,
the
just in general.
situation
In
and
general.
knowing that
That's
you
already a bad guy.
End of the day, bro,
Yeah,
and a man is saying, I'm about to knock you the fuck out, do you feel like you should just shut the
She
fuck
wasn't
up?
waving her hand.
So-
She wasn't being hella ghetto or
so
nothing,
this-
bro.
So this
for
is
her to have to
the
shut
the
fuck up,
concept.
yeah.
This is the concept. Being me is being completely comfortable with violence as I am, as because like the saying goes, you never took how much violence it took to be this calm, right? I can flip switches without sweating. That's just me. I can't speak for everyone. I have my own life experiences, so on and so forth, and training, yada yada yada. I am completely as you see me now. I'm like, someone says, "Hey man, you a bitch." I'm like, "Cool man, I'm a bitch. You got it. I'm out this way." When it's time to get to work, I'm gonna look like a different person. That picture they're gonna put on the news is, I don't know, me training or someone. They're like, this is a monster. This is a blah 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 blah, right? But I don't do that. I just whatever, right? So you look at her and her situation, and you look at financial gain, the trauma to her son. Like that's the most important. At least I think.
Okay, because
I feel like we're going around the question. Should she not have shut the fuck up? We gonna go top left to the right.
Go for it.
Reason why.
She shouldn't have to.
She shouldn't have to. So she should have stood her ground the way she did.
Words, and then they're words. End of the story. Unless the words follow behind action, then she should have the training, the skill. Again, remember, I raised my daughters like I remember seeing Grace Jones, Zena, Pam Grier. My daughters can fight. They can train. They do. They don't like, oh, let me throw these hands. I'm talking about jiu-jitsu, wrestling, boxing, Muay Thai. That's how I train my daughters because I'm their dad. I don't fuck around with that shit. If I don't have a son from now on, guess what? I put 2 lethal strong black women in this world that take care of themselves and make their own decisions and think critically.
So you would have.
That's my
in
opinion.
that same scenario, you would have expected your daughters to handle themselves in that same fashion.
Hand to hand? Fuck yeah. Hand to hand, they can handle most grown men right now. But that's just me. Because I put that pressure on them early, but with love and with understanding and acknowledgement. Okay. So they understand why I did those things. So outside of a weapon being introduced, knife, stick, bat, gun, or whatever, they can handle themselves hand to hand. No problem.
All right, so Jazz, I don't know if I should skip you or not. I know your screen is off. Maybe I'll go with Shayla. How do you feel about that? Given the situation, should she have shut the fuck up? And what are your reasons why or why not?
So I really don't know why they was arguing in the first place. Does anybody know? And can
yeah, so in the convo, we talked about basically the dude felt like she was doing too much at the line because she was asking him to remake her order, and the fact that she was, holding everybody else up because she wanted to remake her order. He tried to rush her out the line and like, lady, just grab your food, and she was like, nah, and that's how it escalated.
Okay. Well, me personally, I wouldn't want my son to live with taking, a life. So if it was a way for me to just, walk away from it, just, I got somebody for you, say something like that and just dead it like that and just go or something like that, I would rather do that. Because now it's like, he ain't no innocent man. It's not like, he didn't do no wrong. Of course, he was all wrong in this whole scenario. But it's the simple fact that body gonna be on her son for the rest of his life. So I just wouldn't want my son to carry that. So I wouldn't want to put my son in that type of predicament. So I feel like she should have walked away as soon as she seen him getting like more aggressive. Like, it's food, it's not that big of a deal. Like, I'll come get my food later, even though it's like, I should stand my ground. I should, but it's like, at the same time, it's not worth it. It's not worth the trauma that my son gonna have to go through, the sleeps that, he probably gonna lose sleep because of this, I mean, he wasn't, like I said, he was no innocent man, but it's still a life that he took. And I never took a life, but I mean, from what I hear from people, it takes a toll on you. And that's something I would think about. And I just wouldn't want it to get that far at all. Like, it's not worth it. I'm not finna sit here. I don't even like arguing in the first place. Me personally, I don't even like arguing. So it would just be that. So I feel like she could have walked away and it would have turned out different. And we wouldn't be seeing this on the news right now if she would.
So I don't feel like, since I don't know who else wanted to chime in and say their piece, but me personally, I don't feel like any man should have the authority that is not that person's husband or, you feel me, whatever of authority figure to tell another woman to shut the fuck up or get out of an establishment if they don't work.
I agree
with that too. I
Right.
agree with that too. But like, you don't know the type of state of mind that man is in. You don't
I
know that
understand
man.
that.
It doesn't matter
That's what I'm
if
gonna say.
if he's a man, if he's a man of some type of quality or some type of at least morals.
Hey,
If
can we
he
point
said,
out the real bad guys in this situation? And that's the punk ass motherfuckers that was standing around and didn't do shit. That shit
All right, so I'm
always
gonna
bothered me my whole
Let me
life.
chime into that.
Because-
So let me finish my
For
point.
real.
Let me finish my point.
go
So,
ahead, Con. Go ahead.
Before y'all said what y'all said was like, oh, I agree with that, right? That wasn't where I was going to end that sentence. I was going to end that sentence where there has been situations where I wanted to turn up. You feel me? Like either so literally shit just happened. Feel me? My cousin who just graduated and just about to go to Florida to play football, where I'm gonna go for my birthday to celebrate with him. Me and him was at the park, and he went to the wrong car in Oakland. You feel me? To get in the car with me to take him to the after party. You feel me? And he went to the wrong car, and because he never seen my car before, because it's a new car. And a dude that was sitting in the car hopped out on him, like, "Oh, you trying to get in my car?" and try to run up on him. You feel me? So I seen it, hopped out, ran up on him, like, "Hey, bro, what's happening?" You feel me? It kind of looked like he was alluding to reaching for a gun. Now it was me, my cousin, and it was his partner. So we possibly could have stopped him from getting to the gun for bumping my cousin or being aggressive with somebody who was a minor. You feel me? He a grown ass man. But in the retrospect of, okay, is this situation serious enough for me to be the aggressor that could escalate to losing somebody's life? You feel what I'm saying? As the adult, you do have to put that into perspective. Although you have pride and you got your emotions involved, it's like you gotta put the kid first. You feel what I'm saying? Let me get the kid out this situation, because whatever I feel personal is personal to me. You know what I'm saying? So I chose not to beat his ass. You feel me? I told him like, "Hey, nigga, that's a minor. That's whoop, whoop, whoop." You feel me? He's like, "Oh, we good, we good." And I was like, "All right, we good." But it could have, you feel me? It could have went left. You know what I'm saying?
So Con, I'll give you a better example.
Did that just to be an aggressor. You feel me?
I'll give you a better example. I don't look like a cop out the gate. I have more tattoos than most motherfuckers have, right? If I go to the regular store that in the neighborhood I live in, motherfuckers know I'm a cop. Hey, nigga, boo, boo, boo. Hey, I'm cool with everybody. I mind my business. If somebody runs up on me, mind you, I'm strapped all the time in sweatpants and Muay Thai shorts, jiu-jitsu shorts, and motherfuckers run up on me, and I'm like, "Hey, man, we're good. I'm gonna go this way." Now, woo. I'm like, "Nah, man, we're good. I'm gonna go this way. You go that way. We're good." So in that moment, what am I supposed to do? Because they assume I'm either sheep, I use the term loosely, sheep to wolf, or they assume that I'm somebody they can influence by the threat of violence, right? What do I do in that respect? Because now we're talking about community. This happened to me at least. I lived here for 6 years. Next year will be 7 years. So it's happened maybe like 3 times. Or dudes are trying to check me because I just have a gym shirt and some Muay Thai shorts or regular shorts. Muay Thai shorts is kind of high cut. And I'm walking in some Crocs. I never thought I'd wear Crocs when I'm a dad. So I'm like, I'm wearing Crocs. Mind my business. One in my shit. So at what point do I either educate them or do I check them? Right? Because now we're talking about community standards. So going back to what Jazz was saying, and going
on the parties that are part of that situation. Like again, I've been in situations where if I'm solo dolo, I ain't gonna know. It might sound weird. Maybe I don't have the same value for my life as I do like my family members and shit like that. But if I feel like somebody pressed me and I know it's out of pocket, I'm pressing. It's up. You feel me? Because it's me. So it's on the back of me. Can I let this shit slide or not? And if I feel like I can't let it slide, then it's whatever I feel like it got.
I'll let it slide like Chuck E. Cheese every time, bro. Because the alternate option is people losing their life, not me.
Of oh shit, I got my sisters with me. Oh shit, this is a child. Woo, woo, woo. Then it's like, all right, let me shut the fuck up so I can make sure that this child gets out the situation.
Bro, but that's ego talking.
All right, look. So my
You're
whole
right.
statement
That's
on
my
that.
that's my bit. That's my
Hey,
shit.
can I say something? So my whole statement about the people around, it ain't got nothing to do with them being an aggressor in the situation. That wasn't my statement. See, everybody first mindset is aggression. Y'all need to calm down with that.
That's part of our culture.
Look,
America.
check that, and that's something that people need to fix individually
Environmental
within
psychology.
themselves, one at
We're
a
not get
time.
deep with that.
But my thing is, nobody had to be an aggressor. Once y'all seen this man put his hands on her, or once y'all seen he was saying that, I'm about to put my hands on you, somebody could have stepped in the middle of that and been like, all right, my brother,
Thank you.
calm down.
Most
It's gonna
definitely.
be all right. All right, come on, sister.
I've
come
already
over
done
here.
it, though.
He tripping. You feel me? Woo woo. But no,
I've
our
already done
generation
it.
that we live in now is straight to the camera. Somebody had enough time to pull out a camera.
Nigga, I don't do the camera, nigga. I lived it. I'm already
Like-
putting niggas out.
So I guess
That
what we're
shit
saying
dumb.
is thank you for those actions, and more people need to respond like you, because they don't.
But they're not
Instead they'll
like
record
me.
it.
They have
But
the
watch
same
them
life
get
Live in a
experience.
recording
They don't have the
generation
same
like
values.
George Floyd and all of that. Somebody could have stopped in and
Someone
walked up
could have
on the
stopped.
police.
Yep.
You didn't have to touch the police. You could have walked up on the
What
police.
against is that?
That would have made him lift his leg and back a little bit. But our first action is, let me get this shit on camera. Fuck that camera.
But let me tell you, for the ultimate thing, George Floyd overdosed, right? So it doesn't matter that he overdosed, right? I mean, the fact of it, he overdosed. But that doesn't mean the officer should have had.
I know
No,
you
no, no.
popping. You gotta stand by your people, but
No.
let's
It's not
be
about some
100,
people.
bro.
Nigga, it's real shit. He shouldn't have been
Real
on his
shit.
neck.
So we gonna just overlook
Regardless.
a whole knee choke, be in the
Nah,
neck,
I'm
bro.
back
saying
choking, and
that
say
shit
this
was
nigga
wrong
overdosed.
regardless. You're not hearing me. That shit was wrong regardless. So I've dealt with hella people that overdose. Guess what? I give them Narcan, and they're like zombies. They'll be right for sure. He's overdosing. That doesn't mean, regardless what I argue with them, regardless what I put in handcuffs, I don't sit in anybody's neck. That's fucking stupid, bro. I fight people for a living. I fight people in training. I don't have to. Even if I choke somebody out, rear naked choke, a Darce choke, a triangle choke, I can talk about jiu-jitsu all day. It does. You don't hold the choke until they're gone, regardless. I don't give a fuck, right? So the shit was wrong across the board. There's no explanation for it. But what I'm saying is,
but I get that. That's beside my point. As far as I understand the OD, all that, but that's not what I mean. I mean, we as a generation, we gonna record. We got enough time to record instead of stepping in.
That's because people are scared. They don't get their hands on.
What, bro?
Nigga.
Everybody around this motherfucker supposed to be Billy
I agree.
Badass. I'm the baddest bitch. I'm the toughest nigga.
Bro, I can send you videos.
But when that shit comes to get
Put the phone
tested,
down,
when
do
the test
something.
comes, when the test comes, virtue fails every time because motherfuckers just be talking it and don't be walking it. And I'm here to call motherfuckers out. That's my whole point of the statement.
Hey, you should.
We as a people, even
and
as a society, we're gonna keep standing
because
by
Jew,
and just
on
keep
my
watching
end,
shit happen when we know we can intervene. Because we need some laughs.
This is the thing.
Comedy skits
Jew,
to us now until
Jew,
somebody
this is
get
the
hurt.
difference. Jew, this is the difference. I go to the academy at least at a minimum 2 times a week. I already got a certified instructor. I've trained MMA. I fought 4 times. Amateur, 4 times MMA. I train regardless, still every day. I still train. I train with pros, high amateurs. I can wrestle, I can fight. So when I go radio calls, they're like, oh shit, oh Dave's here? I'm straight, right? Because I'm certified. I don't give a fuck. I don't have to use anything on my belt. Unless I need to do something like tactical, like some Jason Bourne shit. I'm not using my shit. I don't need to. I don't get scared because most start barking. I'm looking dead in their eyes, right? Everyone's not like me. So when I go to the academy, I try to teach these recruits. We do their scenarios, right? Because you have to have scenarios first. Hey, when you talk to people, talk to people. We have to handle people, you handle them.
So
point blank, period. There's no in between. There's no, I got scared and I was like, pow. No.
That's a cost perspective. I'm talking about a person in general.
Right, like
cost perspective. I'm talking about people in general.
Bro, if you run up on me while I'm doing business, you're gonna get hit.
That's okay, but that's true, bro. That's that. Listen, man, we got to take us out of the scenario and look at just the scenario. This is why when I first
Even the scenario, I lived it.
This is why you lived it, but you're a man. I've always been looking at this like if I'm watching it as a woman is getting it. I've been to Walmart. I've been plenty of scenarios where
I don't go to Walmart. Don't get me started on Walmart.
Well, guess what? Go step over there and you can go.
I'm not going to Walmart.
Now, here's the thing about it. When niggas are doing the rah-rah shit, hey, hold on. Hey, chill. Cut it. How about you can have my spot or you can go over there.
Good for you.
Now you can try to kill it before it gets out of hand. Again, like I said, we're in the age and era now. Motherfuckers will try to say, okay, I'm trying to get a click view. And mind you, I'm a social.
What you be talking about?
I'm a social. I'm a content creator. But I never pulled out a phone when shit's about to get hot at the movie theater. I watch a woman.
Everybody want to be the media now.
I watch a woman jump up another one's face for the Little Mermaid shit. I said, hey, y'all, hey, ladies, we got kids here. So cut it. All right. She took her kid. She went in ahead of the But there ain't no need for that. Some people forget that there's kids or innocent bystanders.
Bro, because you're a different cloth. You're BTA, bro. You're about that action. So if it, two women are arguing with the kid and thing, right? Depending on how much a level gets, I'll get involved. Because if I get involved, there's consequences. Not only because of my job, because me as a man in general, right? Especially with two black women, like, what are you doing, right? Because it's the same thing as like people see me, I just drive around today. Hey, how you doing, right? Hey, fuck you. I'm like, cool, have a great day. Let's keep driving, right? Cool, whatever. They don't know me, they think I'm part of whatever. But if I'm seeing something happening in front of me, I'm like, ladies, calm down, blah, blah. You can't tell me shit. You ain't my daddy. You ain't blah, blah. I'm like, stop.
You're not going around telling them ladies that
I've done it. I told two grown women to stop
on the clock or off the clock?
On the clock and off the clock. I've done both.
And
off the clock, let me tell you. Off the clock.
Hold on. So look. Check
it's harder.
So we already talked about the people who was there. Hopefully this doesn't go over the time frame because I had it specifically clipped how I wanted it to be clipped. But the woman named Rayma, she is the person who documented the situation. Another black woman. This is the reason why she was even got the charges dropped was because she took the video. So we gonna hear from herself how many people was there, what kind of people was there, and why wasn't the things we thought should have happened. We only gonna take maybe 20 seconds of it. You feel me? So y'all let me know when I should cut it, but I'm gonna present it real quick so that you feel me. Y'all hear it from the horse's mouth, and it's not just our opinion. You feel me? And I also put it on subtitles. So I'm gonna take it off for a second.
It was an older man and back to her. Then it was another older man and back to her. Then it was the young lady I was with. Then it was me. And then it was the girl on the side that I think the young man was with. Told you to shut up. I think she was with him. Okay. So that's a total. And 6 people. It wasn't crowded. No, not nobody there that could have got that man off of her. No, because the two men that was in back of her, they was like one man looked like he was about in his 80s, and the man that was behind him wasn't that much younger either. Then you got 3 girls in there.
The one thing that
So as y'all just heard, you feel me? There was only 80-year-old men that was there. And he asked her, why didn't nobody step in to stop the situation? The only dude that was a part of that situation that may have been younger was I think that was her, the dude that was punching on her partner. Besides that, it was nothing but women, old dudes. It was nobody like me, BMT, Jew, you feel me, Ninja, nobody like that in the facility. So she said out her own mouth, the woman who recorded it, it was nobody there that could have prevented that situation.
I know. And
Oh, if I'm 80 years old
So
and I'm
them
about to
old
be like
men,
that, I'm about to be like Batman
couldn't have
Beyond.
said nothing
Correct.
before
He
she got
definitely could have said something for sure.
So before she got
there
the
you go,
report,
Drew.
and she couldn't walk up on that lady and be like, "Come on, I've seen it happen." So look, bro, the way I'm saying this is because shout out to my uncle, bro. If he watched this all the time. If you watching right now, HD, bro, shout out to you. The way I was raised, bro, I'd have been in multiple situations where I'm not standing by and I'm not gonna watch no woman get beat. I don't care if she in the wrong. I'm gonna be like, hey, bro, all right, cool. Like chill. Grab him up off you. Whatever happens. We done got into altercation with dudes like that. I'm not gonna watch nobody get jumped in front of me. I don't care what type of situation it is. You're not gonna jump nobody in front of me. It's not gonna happen. My uncle always raised us like that. We done been in many situations where
your uncle.
We done stepped forward and stopped it. And my uncle only a year older than me. And let's get that exact. I'm 35. I'm 32. We young
Okay,
as
but
hell,
how
bro.
old is your uncle though, bro?
My uncle is a year older than me.
Okay, so that's not the same situation. We talking about 80-year-old dudes, bro.
But I'm saying this is a young nigga who's moving. See, bro, you think it's small when you need to think big again, my nigga. Listen, my uncle only a year older than me, bro. We were young niggas moving like this, bro. So like it shocks me, bro, that like older niggas older than me, people younger than me who've been seen and taught different things, you feel me, from where we grew up in the 90s where niggas was just knocking bitches out and doing that type of shit. We was raised like that, fuck that bitch, fuck that trick. But that shit changed, bro. But I watched a lot of that bullshit happen where motherfuckers don't step forward. They be like, oh, I wouldn't let this happen. It's like they say they wouldn't let something happen, but we watch y'all let it happen every day, bro. You ain't got to necessarily be aggressive, but one small gesture, like, hey, you never know. Like, that being scary shit is out the window. Fuck all that scary shit. That's why our people ain't got nowhere now, because motherfuckers scary. You feel me? They want to talk about why the black men don't stand up for the black woman. They just said it. Niggas is scary. That's why. But that shit is weird as fuck to me because we quick to aggress our own people. You feel me? But like, bro, when we gotta stop you from doing something wrong, bro, it ain't there, bro. Like somebody could have stood it there and been like, "Hey, young man, it's all right. It's not that, it's gonna, just putting a hand in the middle, just a small gesture,
But you're talking about generational trauma and generational leadership that hasn't existed.
I don't know about all that because
that's cat, bro. Like I said, my uncle only a year older than me, bro. I don't give a fuck how old I be, what time frame I'm in. I'm not letting no shit like that happen in front of me. I don't give a fuck if I'm 80.
I agree with you.
Say something.
But you're talking about generational trauma and generational leadership that hasn't existed for, at the very least, the last 100 years.
So
at the very least.
Possibly.
So you're talking about 1955 to say even 1964, right? Which really in America didn't actually happen in 1966, where civil rights was fully implemented. Correct me if I'm wrong. In our culture, right? Look at it this way: Black Americans, descendants of slaves, so DOS, whatever term you want to use. We don't have heritage, culture, language as it exists in this country. And Latinos, Latinos, Asians, Irish, because Irish speak Gaelic, Latinos speak Spanish, depending on what side, right? Mexican, Puerto Rican, full Spanish from Spain, Pacific Islanders.
I really do.
Go ahead, it's okay.
I gotta worry about what's going on in that community right now, and honestly, we fucked up. So I can't save all of Wakanda and all the mother countries. But what I'm saying right now, for those of us in the vicinity, listen. Like I said earlier, you got to start it off with home. Like I said,
I'm already doing that. I'm with you.
But it costs nothing. That's why I said. I know it sounded abrasive when I said, "Hey, not having the police and handling our own shit sometimes ain't a bad thing." No.
That's how the Crips started.
But what I'm saying, it sounds radical, but I've seen other groups handle in-house shit like that. That's how they do it. So, I mean, until we start getting back on that type of level, then yeah, niggas gonna be like, well, you know what? Hey, I'm tired of watching these dudes get beat up, man. Like, hey, stop that shit. Or, you know, y'all girls, when y'all tired of seeing, you know, y'all beating each other and damn ripping each other clothes off and shit. Nowadays, some girls like, yo, I don't even go outside with them females, but them bitches, I can't.
It's not gonna happen without leadership.
Well, I don't need no leader. I don't need
Right.
no leader.
No. What I'm saying
To
is,
say that we
it's
haven't
not-
had leadership for the last 100 years or something like that, bonkers. Absolutely. I
I
mean,
can't say that. I can't agree with that because I watch
Bro.
men every day, man, and they lead very well. It's all about who you watch.
thank you very much. There's so many black leaders. There's so many
man.
black leaders. It's all about
no,
getting the people.
We don't
but
got
it's
the same
not.
choices as before,
We
bro.
talk about leadership, but it's not. We're talking about leadership. Like I always like, and I use the example my dad gave me. You can look at a problem with binoculars, right? You can see everything, and you can look at You can look at a problem through a microscope. So you have to think about which one you're trying to do. So as a culture, as black people right now having this conversation,
Not use a
great.
telescope.
No. I'm saying as black people, that's great. We should be having conversations, tough conversations. But it depends on what subject you're talking about. Do you use the microscope or do you use the binoculars? So what Jazz is saying, as a culture, is binoculars to me.
Well, what culture you trying to
Well,
work?
I can see that. What I'm more
Black
referring
culture
to
in America.
What I can't read his name, but what the other brother was saying, how his uncle raised him, the principles, like just how it's in him to not be able to sit there and watch disrespect when he's an able-bodied person that can possibly stop it or something. And then BMT was saying, we have to go back to policing ourselves. That's what the Crips are doing. They were policing the neighborhoods. They were handling issues. That's what
we're talking about. Tiki Williams
was doing. He was walking around with his book, and it is binoculars. I can see how you said, well, what was the two options? It's more of a specified.
So if you use the binoculars, you see all the problems in something.
Hold on, let her finish her point.
Hold on. I understand. Okay, I know what I was trying to say, but go ahead.
Go ahead, Jazz.
I was just saying that I feel, you know what I'm saying? I feel, oh boy, 100%. If there's somebody able-bodied, you shouldn't have to shut the fuck up to not be assaulted by somebody. Like, I do agree that she should know when to walk away from a fight, but to shut the fuck up about it, like all the aggression toward women, and then we wonder why women are not so nurturing and soft. It just doesn't make any sense to not go down there, connect those two dots. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of things that could have stopped, that could have prevented this. The dude didn't have to die. Not to saying that he was the best type of person, but a lot of things could have been different. Like they definitely could have went differently. And if we start as a community, regardless of what happened the last 100 years or whatever, like of course there's negativity. We don't have culture, we don't have language, we don't have all of that. But if we keep looking at what we don't have, we're never going to be able to build and come together on some shit.
True.
So
I'm not against some people dying. I'm just being honest. I'm not against.
Hey, can we?
I'm just being honest.
BMT, not to cut you out. Can we stop saying what we don't have and rephrase it and say what we're not emphasizing on? Because we got this shit.
There's so much good, and maybe the reason why the gap keeps going is because we're not putting that energy toward the positivity.
Thank you.
Why y'all against people dying?
Am I against people dying? Now people
I would like anyone to die.
But you have to put more of a scope on that. You can't just paint that with that bad of a brush.
I can't. I mean, it's easy. I'm listen. Some people, it's time for them to get to the upper room and kind of check their.
BMT, I feel you, but that's case by case basis. Because you don't understand how people I have to look in the eye and never talk to that have touched your children, touched your nieces, touched your nephews, and in the moment, I might feel that way, right? I can end your life right now.
Time to go.
But that's not how I'm trained. It's not how I'm to be a professional. I have to hold them accountable to our society, right? So I agree with you on one hand, again, morally, but legally I'd be wrong. So what Jazz is saying is like, yeah, cool. There's certain people that probably shouldn't be around us, but is death the ultimate option? I don't think so necessarily for all people.
And this is why I think, and this is why I say we're going to keep getting this ongoing cycle of young men running into the grinder and taking on these adult situations, and they're falling by.
But that's where we need to step up.
Well, here's
Agreed.
they got it. Well, see, here's the thing about it: either those older people are either dead, gone, or they're tired.
Not true. I disagree with you.
Those people live within all of you men that are on.
And even if they were, there's so much literature, there's so much evidence, there's so much.
No, not even that. For every black young man that doesn't have a father or uncle, there's another black man that's willing to lead them. You know how I know? Because I've seen it and I've done it. Because a lot of people will assume, oh, you Uncle Tom ass motherfucker. You this, you blah, 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 blah. They don't know me. They don't know I get down. They don't know where I came from. They don't know what I'm about. However, I'm a professional. So I'm like, sure, you can have your opinion. They don't know I talk to the same family that lives on 4061 Shimon. They don't know that. I talk to Skip. I talk to his dad. I talk to his son. They don't know that. They don't know that I go out there and talk to all the other families. Like, hey, if you need something, you call me. I'll help you out. Oh, the young black girl that lives on 4146th Street. And I go talk to her because she went to the same boxing gym I went to, and I know the same coach, Dave. And I said, you know Dave? And she tried to pill herself to death. They don't know that. So she took a bunch of pills.
And I talked to arts. Would you tell a woman that does martial arts, hey, that if a guy's talking reckless to you, you should try to take him down with that jujitsu chokehold? Would you tell a woman to do that?
I would tell anybody, man or woman or in between.
You're gonna get a woman killed.
Skill, size, and experience.
You're gonna get a woman.
Know what you're getting into. And also, you have to understand the context of what you're in. You could be morally right, but legally wrong.
You know
what? You could be a nice little woman at the bar. Bro, you could be a little woman at the bar, some people bump you, talk shit, and some shit starts. Right?
We in a world of reality, bro. Like, listen, I'm telling you right now, I done seen this girl who go to boxing and be fighting like she in Mortal Kombat. That shit did not work at all in that dog.
Because that is not combat. That is boxing.
Oh no, wait. Boxing's not combat. That is combat.
No.
So okay.
When you're in combat, that means you encompass everything. That means it could be wrestling, it could be boxing, it could be jiu-jitsu, it could be weapons.
Listen. She has some really good hands, but guess
hands don't mean shit, nigga. Your hands don't mean shit. You wrestle, control, and handle business. That's why I teach my daughters anyway.
She has some good hands, but when the minute that dude grabbed her and slammed her into that doggone night post,
guess what?
We heard that.
Guess what? He gonna try my children and get slept because I train my children for that. That's me.
We don't listen, but see that. Listen, man. I love everybody can have the confidence. Listen, but the thing about it is, after a while, that stuff is reality. We're in the reality. This is why a lot of these women, I'm telling y'all, and even y'all heard.
I live in reality.
Hold on.
Let me chime in, bro. I need to direct the convo a little bit. Let me direct the convo.
Go ahead.
So, two things. One, I don't agree with the whole boxing is not a combat thing. That's crazy as fuck to me because a lot of street fights are.
It's a combat art, but it's not war.
Hold on. Let me talk. Let me direct it. Let me direct. I get what you're saying. I've been in combatives. We are both veterans. I get that. I know the difference between grappling and learning how to actually defend yourself versus just boxing for a sport. There are sport martial arts, and then there are actual combat. I get what you're trying to say. The difference, what I'm saying is, just because you only know boxing doesn't mean that you're not a combatant. You a combatant, you just don't know mixed martial arts. You're just not well-rounded. You feel what I'm saying? You don't know.
Fair enough, I agree.
Into a fight. Now, that doesn't mean that most of the people I know in the streets box. They don't necessarily grab people. I know a lot of people in the hood when I was growing up in Oakland, where we throwing hands, and the moment it gets to the grappling and shit like that, hey, stop grabbing, go back to the hands. They do that shit. You feel what I'm saying? So all I'm saying is just because somebody does one or the other doesn't negate that one is an actual combat and one is also
have you watched Baki?
Or more is
Oh,
one
come
is
on,
more
man.
than one. Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish. Cause I beat a lot of niggas' asses in the military, and I only grew up on boxing, and they knew mixed martial arts, black belts, championships, and all that shit. And I
They
went to
talked that shit, they weren't about that shit.
hold on. And I went to the semifinals in my combatives tournament, and I grew up on only boxing. I didn't know no type of grappling. So it's all about the fight in the man, not the man in the fight. You feel what I'm saying?
Agree.
Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish. My last point with BMT. My last point of what this being said, man, going back into this conversation of black men protecting black women, that's what we need to be focusing on. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up, right, is because, again, the witness who is a black woman who documented the situation contested that the men were 80 years old. Now, I can understand 50. 50, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, you would expect a 50-year-old man to step up, but 80? You can't do
80 is unrealistic.
You feel me? Now, and then she said the only man that could step up, like the witness said this herself. She said the only man who could have stepped up, and sadly that this man is being labeled a man, but the 14-year-old young boy was the only man who could step up and do something about that situation.
It goes back to what Jazz said about the false recording.
Let me finish. I also want to say this as evidence. Yes, there were black men present who did not intervene. However, just the same fact that we're talking about black men not intervening, that black son still intervened. So the conversation of black men not protecting black women, I feel like is still a little on the false narrative, because although we have a lot of black I guess what you say, degenerates that do the wrong thing, we constantly see the evidence of black men doing the right thing, but we hyper focus on the negative. You feel what I'm saying? And the same way that Jazz even implemented her evidence of herself, saying that, okay, she was at the school, somebody tried to get in her face, and it was a black man. Same vice versa. It was a principal who was a black man who stepped in that situation and said, hey, chill out. So do we want to focus on the perspective of, okay, black men not protecting black women because we got some who are aggressive, or are we gonna focus on the ones that step up and go, nah, chill out? Or, even if it's a young man that steps up and shoots somebody, it's still a black man evidence.
I'll do you one better. I'll do you one better, Con. I'll do one better. I literally stepped in between, literally, at work and off work, stepping between black man and black woman. And you know what I get met with? Get your motherfucking ass up the way. You know what's going on. I love him, or like, hey man, back up. So I'm like, when I tell you I live in two worlds, I legit live that shit.
I understand that, but it's like, I was in an abusive situation, and when I would ask somebody for help, they would tell me, well, what if you turn around and go back to them? That's usually what people do. You know what I'm saying? So not to say that doesn't happen, but I think that you do kind of have, I don't know what somebody said, but you do have to assess whether that person is willing to leave that situation or not. That doesn't mean don't say shit, because they might say, mind your motherfucking business. But it means say something, because they might need your
step up in the moment.
Right. So that, I think that's all that we can do. That's all that we can do. And then hopefully over time, that person will see, what we were talking about.
I've seen both ends. Somebody does and doesn't. And somebody commented boxing and combat sports. So what you say, Con, I don't get me wrong. I agree with boxing is a combat sport. I just feel like it's incomplete, because there are perfect aspects of it that can really accentuate combat hand to hand. But I've done both. I've seen boxers who are so good they never get a hand up.
And some people fight to destroy. And I think that's the difference.
And so I fought boxers who can wrestle, but they're boxers truly. Now I fought people who can wrestle who are boxers truly. It's crazy, right? So doing MMA, doing Muay Thai and stuff, there's a lot of different things. But somebody who thinks they can just solely use one or the other and just purely a random in the street situation is mistaken, because once something is introduced, a chair, a table, a stick, a bat, the combat changes. But you have to prepare for all. And going back to what Jazz said too, it's being protected in the sense of like this. Okay, well, I'll say this. This is why I think.
That's why I lied, because BMT looked like he done transformed.
It look like he got to read.
He looked like he channeled his inner Dr.
I will say this.
About to get us on that pro-black tip.
Right.
Raising young black women by myself.
Yeah,
Because my kids had the same birthday 3 years apart with 2 different women. Long story, right? But the way I've raised them was similar to how my dad raised me.
Go ahead and start. Time for the debate for boxing.
Fair enough. So my daughters can cook. They can change tires. They know how to navigate to and from school and from home. They have housekeepers. They train the dogs. I train my dogs. I have a Malinois and I have an American Bulldog. My dogs are on point right when they walk them. All these things. So when they go out in the world on their own, they know these things. I've taught them financials for
how many black women have access to fathers?
I don't know. Because you know what? I've had black women tell me they come back to my house.
Father figures.
No. Fathers.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
That's broken our community.
The same way
that's
that we
broken our
about
community.
Protecting the black woman, right? Also talks about the politics of being in the black household, because I feel as though that situation would have never escalated had we don't know that the father,
the crack epidemic, Vietnam, and you're talking about. I'm not talking about.
We can't keep going.
Listen, had the father had been present for that situation could have got de-escalated very
absolutely.
Quickly.
Like, here's the thing. I'm gonna say this. I know plenty of stories like Jew and Khan and myself, where you see the big brothers have to defend.
I agree. I got lucky. I have my dad at the very least. I agree.
So the situation is, do we wish the man of the household could have been in his proper alignment? Maybe some things probably would have been different. But shit, the dice.
It's not the same though. That's like I wish the white women never would have came to West Africa.
Well, listen, but we can't look back at there. I gotta look at. I'm an '80s crack baby type of nigga. Me
too.
So that right here, I gotta look at. I gotta take into account that right now, a lot of black men are doing the best they can from having to. I know how to do protection the best way I can. Either it's through physical or it's through mental. Or I feel like the only way shit. That one female you saw right there, I'm using 2 females that Jasmine you had talked about. One girl, a man talking about he gonna bash her face in, that was normal. That was like, well, that's just what men do. Another one said, no, I'm not gonna move from that type of shit. You have women in this environment now that think like that. That is the placement of the environment. And you got
the only thing that what if they're trained?
Huh?
What if they're trained? I'm telling you, I know grown women right now that were dogs.
That's a small percentage. I don't know. That's a small percentage. If that's the case, we need to see those women start entering in the MMA, Mortal Kombat, and
there's a lot.
Them girls will be dead between the. Y'all need to stop.
Y'all need to stop right now. That was dog grown ass men.
Doing that, we're trying to compare. Listen, we got to stop trying to.
I'm not comparing. I'm just saying those women are as. And again, man, mind you, I'm raising young black women. They're not as helpless as I'm not saying you're gonna save, but they're as helpless as you might be picturing, right? Now there's a line where there's a clear, I'm talking about a clear, undistinct line where that woman is not gonna win that physical fight, for sure. But to mark it as if a woman pipes up or doesn't back down, she's doomed for tragedy. That's not correct.
Nobody said that. No, nobody said.
I'm not saying you said that. I'm not saying you said that. I'm not pointing. I'm just.
So let me ask you a
laying
question.
that
Have you ever seen the movie Enough?
Yeah, I've seen Jennifer Lopez
That
in
girl,
Enough. Absolutely.
Shout out to J-Lo.
Shout out to J-Lo.
I've seen her. I've seen her enough. I've seen her in The Mother.
So look, she was trained. She knew mixed martial arts.
Yep.
She knew self-defense. She planned the attack. Snuck in this man's house, and did she not end up on her back? Did she still not end up
almost dying?
No. That's because I hear you, and I agree because the physical strength. So like she hits him, he hits her.
Exactly.
She lose 15, she lose 25%. She hits him, he lose 50%. She hits her, he lose 25%. Now she's at 50, he's only at 30. Agreed. But the biggest thing what she did was like put the rings on her fingers. She memorized the house. So on and so forth.
Everybody don't got time to do that, bro. Listen, I don't think
prep time.
Listen, I don't think Jazz has time to prep time when she go to goddamn Dollar General. Good thing
if she went to shits, she might consider it.
To how to trip this nigga up. Like,
I'm just gonna work on it 10 minutes a day on my lunch break, every lunch break until I'm ready.
Hey, just keep that blue book ready, baby girl. Keep that blue book ready. All right, nigga, you wanna back up? Hey, listen, these girls are carrying them little clutches, and they carry.
Hey, pulling James Bond.
I'm not mad at it.
He's like, gotcha, bitch.
But here's the thing about it. See, the thing about it is, am I mad that women are doing that now? No. But the reality of this is that some women already understand that, hey, this one in the blue moon that there's going to be a Jew that's going to come and say, hey, y'all boys stop. Versus, it's funny just seeing, they see it as a sadist type of thing. You're not going to always have a comment say, hey, y'all brothers, chill out, let's talk. You know what I'm saying? Listen, that is a few in between. Again, I get the frustration because no man, not even the cooks of their own establishment said a damn thing. So the thing about it is that's a 1 out of 5 chance that somebody was going to stop the shit. So
hold on. I also want to chime in and say something though. Like, okay, now y'all tell me how y'all feel about this Jew specifically. There was something that I was told by another black man that said the random woman that's at the store that he don't know, wherever like that, doesn't necessarily deserve his protection, because as a black man who either has kids, a family, a mom, or wherever the case may be that they have to go to, they have to prioritize their safety first to make sure that the family that they're providing for is continue to be provided for, versus this random person that they don't have no relationship with. He said that that's the duty of whoever man that she's dealing with, not the duty of the community. Now, I want to ask y'all how y'all feel about that. Hold on. I want to ask y'all how y'all feel about that. And now I also want to ask y'all the same thing with that perspective. Keep in mind that people who come from places like Iraq don't necessarily get into business that's not theirs because people are killed at such a high rate. A lot of people mind their own business, including the women who was there and didn't do anything about it, because they know how easily things escalate. So at a state of survival, do you prioritize your own safety, or are you feel me? Should you be a hero, which people in the military always use that term as a as a disrespect. Come on, hero, because they don't put everything into full perspective. How do y'all feel about that?
Quick answer.
What?
I'm gonna say I got, like I said, I'm gonna tell you on God, like for real, the man who said that shit, that was some cold shit of 2023 man code book. I mean, it ain't nothing personal, but I've had girls tell me, hey, I'm your bitch. That ain't your bitch. What the fuck you going over there for? Fall back. Like, no, that's her situation. You know what? I had to understand that because guess what? When shit get hot, that girl ain't gonna come bail me out of no jail. Oh, we had the incident in Georgia. Nigga went over there, played Captain Save a nigga, and got his ass boop, boop. And guess what? She went still right back to the same nigga and slopped him down. So you gotta understand. You
definitely
better
gotta have the ability to read the situation and know how to intervene. Like you definitely gotta be able to read the situation. I ain't saying just go in there blindly, be like, "Hey man, don't touch that woman, don't do that, my brother." Nah, you definitely gotta know how to read the situation, know what type of shit you about to step into, at least to an extent. As far as your assumption may be, if you don't really know what the fuck going on, you just happen to be passing by and some shit happening. But like, if you there from start to finish and you see some bullshit like this going on, you have the clearer idea, like, hey, this is something that shouldn't happen. Let me go ahead and be like, hey, y'all be cool, chill out, relax, and some more shit. Shit, the way it sounds like this place needs to hire security. They need a security nigga out there in the front.
be like that, bro. And be like that.
So the same way that Jude, no, it wasn't Jude. I think it was BMT that said, okay, they've been in situations where they did stick up for somebody, and the female was like, mind your fucking business, shit like that. Now, Jude, you know how I get down, nigga. I don't give a fuck. I'll step up no matter what. That's just, I grew up seeing my mom abused, so when I see that type of shit, it's already a trigger for me. I'm on site. But I've literally been slapped by women, slapped by women, grabbed up, feel me, all types of shit, because I was sticking up for them.
That was your chick?
You feel what I'm saying?
Hey, Con, don't feel bad. I've done the same.
I would have slapped
because you're trying to do something right. And because you're watching something happen, doesn't mean they're not invested in that person. So if we're talking about with person to person, what's called domestic cycle of abuse, right? You can Google it. It's a very short wheel. It's a visual. It explains the relationship. It explains the abusive action. It explains the quote unquote honeymoon phase where, hey, baby, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. And it recycles back into the first action, right? So I have stopped grown ass men pimping women because I'm new, right? And I'm like, hey, that ain't right. I step into it, hey man, because I recognize it because I come in the street life. Hey man, back up. You doing this shit. I won't do it, won't do. She won't do what they do. Blah, 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 blah. She like, don't talk to him like that. I'm thinking like, woman, I'm trying to help you. But she's like, no, does I get my money? I'm doing this. And then you're in between two people arguing with you that they're agreeing with what you're saying is wrong, right?
Right.
Exploiting women or exploiting men, which I've seen actually very rarely, like probably 2 times, where women are exploiting men, but more so men exploiting women, and they agree upon it, and you're in the middle because it's legally wrong, right? But they're like, I don't give a fuck, I'm doing this and this, and you're like, oh shit. So going to like what Jupi's saying and what BMT is saying, you can step in the middle thinking you see something wrong, and they're like, and both people are in agreement, and it's fucking weird. Yeah, he slaps me. I'm okay with that because this dude did this. You like, yeah, I slapped him because this. And you're like, what? And then, so I think that hesitation of not knowing what you're stepping into is what most people have a hesitation about, right? So if you see a man we're arguing and they're like, ooh, I don't know what each person did. I don't want to like jump the gun, right? I don't have a knee-jerk reaction, right? But then there's visibly stuff happening. You know, black men or black women or Asian men, whatever case may be, more dominant figure putting pain onto a less dominant figure, and nobody's stepping up, right? So in this case, we're talking about black women, and still nobody's stepping up because they're like, ooh, well, I don't know what she said. Doesn't matter what the fuck she said. Step in there. Ain't no one should be getting smacked down for no shit. I don't play that shit. And damn sure, I don't stand for no man. I don't give me 6 feet tall, a 5 foot short, get smacked around by no woman just because whatever. Because you're just as wrong. That's me. But understanding the idea of what most people think in the general public, ooh, I don't get a part of that. I'm just gonna videotape it. And if you know what I've asked at least in my 5 years. I have asked at least 100 people, minimum. Why didn't you do something? They're like, oh, I just want to get it on video for evidence. That's what everyone said. Maybe like 90% of people. 10% of people was like, hey, I was a victim. I want to show what they were doing. The other 5% of people were like, hey, I want to show what they're doing. And I'm like, I wasn't doing anything and blah, 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 right? So everyone's kind of point their side. But 90% of people, guess what they want to show? I just want to say I was there. I just want to show what happened. And this is crazy happening in front of me. This is the day and age we live in. So going back to Jazz was saying, going back to Juvie was saying, nobody will step in, but they'll record the whole thing. You'll be like, oh, look. I record the whole thing. Oh, look. He was wrong. Right? So as a police officer, when I step into shit, I'm like, oh, person 1, person 2, maybe person 3, get over here. No. You can't do that.
Let me ask this. So Jazz, as a woman who just heard from 3 different black men or 4 that has dealt with women that they tried to protect, but got faced with disrespect, got faced with, oh, I don't need nobody to protect me, this, all that type of rhetoric. How do you feel about that? Do black women make it easy for black men to protect them?
So this is the thing when it comes to talking about black women. I feel like most people judge one black woman or judge all black women by one black woman's actions or the few that they do.
That's not fair, but I agree.
So one thing that I kept thinking of, I think his name's Ninja, surprising, all of the psychology talk that he has and says, he's not applying those in certain situations because it's certain people that just won't want to be helped. That's what it is. I know people like that. I know people who are not like that. So I think that you should at least try. If that person's not ready, isn't ready at that time, they will be later on down the road, maybe. Whenever someone's staying in a toxic situation, it's much deeper than just defending the person because they like drama. It's not just because of that. But I think that some women do make it hard for a good person to know when to intervene and when not to. And I just think that regardless of that, people should still try because you never know what kind of person, where that person's really, how they feel. You don't know if they really want to leave, but they feel like they're by themselves in the situation, or if they're used to the abuse.
I also want to chime in and say that there are situations that, again, being a man that has always protected and looked out for women in general, not just black women, but women in general. Sometimes these men who are hella abusive, these women don't only allow them to be abusive just because they're physically stronger, but because unfortunately they're dependent on them. So a lot of these aggressive dudes that they end up being in a relationship with, that's, these women come from broken homes. So they living with this man because they have to, and you feel me? So sometimes it's a state of survival for them too. Like, do they like the dude? No, but if you take away their only provider, they ain't really got nowhere else to go.
Hey, Con, so to that point,
it ain't always like that. They got mental people.
It's not always that point. To that point, I raised 2 young black women by myself. I raised them to be better than that. And so what Jazz is saying, as far as like writing off a whole community or like giving up on them, I never do that. That's what makes me different. No matter how much randomness I see from our community or ridiculousness, where it's just posterized on like Daily Post, CNN, I don't buy into that shit. I still believe in our community as a people, as a historical documented achievements we've made and the ability we have to go further than, right? But also understanding that the cards we were dealt when this community or this country, when this country was founded. So like, for example, we're about to go to July 4th, right? Black people weren't free on July 4th. They were like, America, Yeah, and I'm like, no. But I go to work. I go to these areas, and everyone's like, America, we're just happy we're free, and America, blah blah. I'm like, sure, man, cool, whatever. You don't love America? I'm like, yeah, I do, because I went to the military for 8 years. I fought for it.
Why wouldn't you, sir? Why wouldn't you be happy for the black woman?
I'm not happy about it because
I don't know what's going on with your mic, but we can barely hear you, bro.
I'm not happy about it because when this day was founded, people look like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Whenever she jumps in or he ever jumps in, we were not free. I'm not blind to that, and nobody can tell me otherwise.
Okay, but here's the thing about it. We all kind of joined an establishment that kind of works for the same thing that oppressed our people.
We didn't join. Okay, you want to talk about psychology? We didn't join because, let me join this because it's the best option. It's what we are brought up in and we accepted. So we're talking about environmental psychology.
Plymouth Rock landed on us.
I'm just saying. No, psychologically, you have nature versus nurture. You have conditional, right? So like think like a dog. Do as I say or else. Sit or else, right? You look at boot camp, if you were in the military, and it's do as I say or else. And or conditional, right?
That was a choice.
So conditional is so you have associated with a memory. So how many times BMT, straw, con, jazz, did you touch that hot ass stove?
Plenty of time. I still touch
maybe 2 times. Because you associate that with a memory. You're like, oh, that's hot, I'm not touching it.
But we're saying that we're looking at it closely. That and it comes to that of the seed of protection. That honestly it's a case-by-case scenario. And honestly, we're just looking at the reality of the measure stick. That right now you have it in a prefix of black boys born in certain types of hostile environment homes where they are fighting and they are seeing certain stuff, either from Stockholm syndrome.
They need black men to guide them. They need not even black men. They need men in general to guide them, but more so black men.
Ain't no dudes trying to run up to play daddy or mentor like
nigga. I've done it. What are you talking about?
You're one seed, one grain of sand.
I gotta say, BMT. It just sounds like you are.
I'm not. Listen, it don't sound. I'm not.
Let her finish. Hold on.
It's like you're painting everything with a certain scope, and like you said, it's a case by case basis on most things.
Right. So you're saying it's case by case, but when we look at the community. So you still seeing that case by case scenario in the community?
When you're looking at the community, you're only talking about the negatives in the community, and you're taking those negatives and you're applying them to every situation. Like when you were mentioning that, I did point out the difference of the backgrounds of the 2 women in the shooting, in the 14-year-old boy shooting the guy situation. You're not acknowledging the fact that one of them is an absolute citizen in our community. They're not damaging our community like the other one. That is the whole vibration that the girlfriend is on, that the man who got shot is on, that his whole family and shit like that is on. And the question is protecting black women and what we can do to change that. It's not just saying, well, motherfuckers is hood boogers, so we just gonna throw the whole shit away, because that's what it is. And women need to learn when to shut the fuck up in public, because ain't nobody coming to save you. As a black woman, it's very disheartening to hear you guys talk about this stuff and to really have that be your perspective. Out of you 4 men, there's only 1, maybe 2. I'm sorry. There's 2. Half of y'all are only touching on the subject of not everything is only think about yourself, but it's also think about your community. You guys keep mentioning these black young little girls that you're raising. They're going to grow up and be in that same community. So the same things that you're saying with no emotion are also one day going to apply to your daughters, unless we start doing things differently. And that's the problem, is that it never really matters to someone until it's in their family.
You know, the thing about it is this, because
Hold on, real quick. Let me react to this.
Gotta have skin in it.
Tap in.
You got to tap in with that one. But go ahead. What are you going to say?
It's all good. It's all good. Let us, at the end of the day, I'll be the negative buck. I'll be that Eisen. And y'all believe in y'all, the dream, and I'll walk my path. I'm not stopping.
No. I agree with you, BT. Before you continue. No. I agree with you. Just saying.
Let me finish, bro. Listen. See, I can be quiet and control. Bro, I'm gonna listen to y'all. I sat there and listened to Jazz. I listened to you. I just saying. At the end of the day, I want to start seeing y'all guys start setting up some group homes for men, for black men. I want to start seeing y'all run out there, go get them boys out them games, and hey, put in the work. I hope to see it. It's always easy to say it when you got the shiny bullet badge on, but it's a different thing. It's always easy to say. I'm being for real.
Nothing's easy about it. Nothing's easy about it from the action to the conversation, my brother. So it's like you don't have to be.
See, like I said, we're in the reality. I'm in the reality of why a lot of black young men are actually disassociating themselves out of that persona of the black community because they don't feel like they're getting a proper representation. We can say, well, oh no, we're doing this, we're doing that. We don't know. We don't see that. The only time they get a representation and when it comes to that, a 60 minutes or that of the police. They're not getting that proper representation unless it's for $1 or a come up. So these things that everybody's saying, I'm doing the negative Nancy dance. No, I'm doing the reality dance. I don't have time to shoot around the bullet. And mind you, I got black sons and daughters.
What if it's a broader reality than the one that you're speaking about or acknowledging?
So what is the broader reality? Okay, what is the broader reality? Because when it comes to voting, they damn sure don't ask the black man. When it comes to that of the household, they don't ask the black man.
But I don't know. The things that you're talking about are so far off topic, but I do have something to say for each one. If black people did probably.
How is that off topic of the family and the black man? Talking points have been removed from family, and that's the first voice of protection.
The topic is protecting black women. Am I wrong?
So the family is not me. A family man being in a home is actually a shield of protection. That's what I'm saying. That's how crazy that is getting now. That even for the man say, "Hey, family." Well, what does that got to do with the topic? Well, guess what? You have a family unit watching your back. It feels a lot different when you walking up on that stage or you going to school and your daddy's right there walking you. That's a different feeling.
No, I absolutely, I agree with that. But you're just you're making different points that are getting away from the topic. And now,
it's not that I make a different point.
It's
not that I make a different point. It's just that sometimes when I talk, I keep getting cut off, and I just be patiently just sitting there listening. Like the thing about it is. What I'm saying is this, and it's not the negative Nancy. I didn't want the boy to be there to hold a gun, but he had the situation happen to him. Just like many black boys who had pulled the trigger or who have fought a grown man to get off a mama or sister, whatever. He's only one of many black boys. You got a man on here right now that done fought a grown man, and another man on here. Actually, all three of us done fought grown men off of our mamas. So this ain't no new story. You think there's anybody go funding our traumas? Nope. And we can tell you right now, that shit still stays with us. So when we're saying, hey, what about the boy? Hey, I'm gonna be honest. Hey, I'm sorry shit happened to the mama, but my mind right now, my mindset has really been on the boy. Ain't really been on the mama, because the boy really is the one that's gonna be carrying the whole shield of weight. So it's not that I'm talking from my perception of that of the path that I have to walk. I'm like, damn, that little nigga out there had to pull the trigger. Fuck. Now he gonna have to really watch his ass. And that's not me beating at the mama, but shit, I'm gonna have to tell a lot of mamas, yo, if y'all can help it, try not to put your sons in the line of fire. That's a realistic thing that's been going on. But I used to be the guard dog for my mama whenever she get into it with her boyfriends or they get in her face, and I be running right up in there 14, 13 with the aluminum baseball bat and going upside their head. I took them blows as a good soldier. But I'm saying it should not have to be like that. And the only thing, and I'm just saying, and that's not being negative, but to fix the cancer, you got to identify the cancer, and that's a big issue that we're having going on. Because, like I said, that boy.
No, I absolutely agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. How that.
Like I said, it's not hostility. This is passion. Because, like I said, my heart from the get-go has been towards that 14-year-old boy. I ain't seen not one positive message about.
And why was that? Because of the first story that ran. A lot of people, and I too, I agree. When I first heard this story, my first reaction is that little boy shouldn't have been put in a position of a man. Who else was there? What's going on? But with a case-by-case basis, everything's dwindled down to the little boy being the only man in the premises.
Now, Jazz, have you heard anybody saying anything about getting that boy into some kind of therapy?
Yes, Ninja said that.
No.
And I would have touched on that. But what do you?
I'm talking about like the broader scope of people who are attacking him.
Well, when you're thinking about, the people who are attacking him aren't going to say that they're attacking. Okay, are there other comments there? Because that's the first thing that I was concerned with. This 14-year-old boy lost his innocence through having to commit a murder. This situation ripped him of his innocence. He's absolutely going to look like a man on the streets of Chicago. I didn't know what kind of little boy he is. If he's the kind that is a knucklehead, then she's going to have a hard time disciplining him going forward. And if not, if he's emotional, he's going to have a hard time living with the fact that he took a life. So I can't remember the first thing that you said, which made me disagree with the scope that you're looking at it from. Now, what were you saying?
When it came to that, and I said, I'm not sure if you listened to that of the proceedings. Now we're going to start cutting a little bit at the meat. Did you ever hear the mama say anything about taking her son for them to go try to process this?
Absolutely.
You heard her say something about that?
She said it in her press conference.
Okay.
So I'm not the mom, so how about you just tell me the point that you're trying to make?
So the point is this. A lot of black men have not been properly taught how to properly deal with certain traumatic and traumatizing events. So
BMT, let me interject.
Go ahead, Ninja. Go ahead.
So as what I feel is lucky, what I feel is fortunate. I don't believe in white Jesus and all this stuff, blessed or whatever it can be. My dad was in my life. He was the reason I'm the man I am today, flaws and all. And being beaten by a black woman 3 times over until where I am now as a grown man with 2 young black girls by myself as a police officer in my city. Hard as fuck, right? But my daughters know how much I love them, how much I sacrifice them, and they take the lesson I gave them through my dad, and there are stronger black women because of it, right? Do I want to have one more child? Sure. Do I hope it's a boy? Sure. Is that a possibility right now? Absolutely not. And I'm trying to date a divorced black man of 2 teenage daughters in life, right? That's just my reality. But going to your point, I say that to make this point. So you have the young black man who needs guidance. You have the mom who hasn't had a guiding force in his life, and now we're in a life or death situation, according to her. So she's going to refer to the most masculine entity in that situation. Not because she's less than, not because she's greater, not because she's, oh my God. In those moments, you have to look at the very primal things. So I use the example of rolling blackout that happened in America in 2011, 2012. People got very tribal, right? And they relied on the most aggressive, most tribal, most protecting figures. So for her, that was her son. Do I think she was necessarily reaching for a post-incident? Payday? No. Do I think she was probably coached and you can get as much for your pain and suffering? Sure. But do I look on the outside and see how it could look like she was like, oh, I got away with murder because he was an asshole in a public opinion. He's an asshole, which he very well should be all of that stuff. But then, like, let me get some more on top of that because I feel like a victim. So I say that because I talk to a lot of people who are victims who feel emotionally that they are due X, Y, and Z, right? And I talk to them and I express to them greatly, based on what you're telling me, this is the crime that occurred, so on and so forth. But like, I want this. So going back to what you were saying, going back to what Khan was saying, going back to you were saying, even very lightly what Jazz was saying, in the age of social media, people, it's the FOMO, right? The fear of missing out. They're like, oh, I can get this. Let me at least try for this, even though what happened to me wasn't this. I see it all the time. So I look at our community, I look at the situation, I look what it could be. So in our community, we should be raising better children. We should be protecting our children, boy and girl, or call me controversial, whatever they should be. That's just me. I love my children regardless. They came from me and somebody else. They tell me, they come to me, Dad, this is who I feel. I'm going to love them regardless. Regardless of whether I fully agree or understand it. I don't give a fuck. Those are my children. That's just me. Right? And doing something on my own, having women, grown women, they're like, Dad, I need to buy bras. I'm like, oh shit. Here's my card. Go buy the bra at the Target. I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know. They just tell me. But they trust me enough to like, this is what's going on. This is what I need, so on and so forth. Because with my oldest daughter, it's just me and her. Her mother's a piece of shit. I fought in court every year for 9 years because of my daughter. And I backed her up 100% of the way. I remember she's in the best schools. She has the best teaching. That I back her up, that I talk to her, all the whole 9 yards. Nobody can tell me I'm anti-women or anti-black. I'll tell you, go fuck yourself. Dead ass, on gang, on the set, on justice. That is me. That's how much I love my children. I learned that from my dad. My youngest, she has her mom. Her mom's married. But guess what? She's like, I turn to my dad. Because my dad is this. Consistent, fluent, all those other things, right?
All right, bet. Not to cut you off, but we at the 3-hour mark, so we've got to.
For sure. So I'll tell you this. And Jupi, in 10 seconds, I'll tell you this. Protect black women. Protect black men. Hold each other accountable. And let's have more conversations like this. That's all I'm saying.
100%.
All right, so on the way out, I did want to bring up a few things we kind of took out, on the long one. Black people don't take nothing serious, right? I don't know why, but it's like a DNA hereditary curse that we seem to have. But this is the woman, the girlfriend of the man that we are speaking of at the moment. Look what her shirt says. She got a shirt made for his funeral called Knockout.
We gotta stop that. Oh my god.
Yeah, Knockout King. The shirt says Knockout King.
That's a little queen. That's a little queen.
The post that came with this shirt says it shows you a perfect example how certain women and a lot of black women don't give a fuck about your life. They'll root you on and do a whole lot of fuck shit like that, and then once you dead and gone, they just misrepresent you and still living their life. She gonna have a new nigga in a couple days if she ain't got one already.
Yep.
But like this
so horrible.
Yeah, they said this is his cousin. This the front of the shirt. It say long.
That's horrible. We
And
have
then
to
the
stop
back of the shirt
bullshitting.
said, got wings instead of chicken.
Nigga, I don't want to see it.
Oh
That's
shit!
where we have to we have to 100% hold each other accountable
That was his
and stop with
cousin.
this bullshit.
They said this
Y'all
supposedly
fix
his
that
cousin.
community.
That's I ain't gonna lie to you. That's funny as fuck.
You got work.
I'm not gonna
It's
lie.
funny, but it's horrible.
Ninja, you
Come on,
got
I'm with
It's
you. I want to
ignorant.
laugh, but I'm
It's
mad
ignorant.
because it's like Juicy said, it's ignorant. You know he's in the wrong, and you're like, oh my god,
You're not in the wrong. You can't tell that
and
side.
you know they're fucked up.
That's
Nigga,
funny as fuck.
no.
Stop.
No.
Somebody also, I didn't post a picture, but somebody also posted a video of the casket talking about who need a GoFundMe, and then they got a picture of him on the casket with money and everything. But it's like, bro, how ignorant you gonna be, bro? Somebody lost their life, and I'm with all about celebrating somebody homegoing, but like this ain't one of those celebrations, bro. Like everybody needs to be in all black sad. This funeral should have been quick, bro. Like at the end of the day, he left behind his own daughters, behind putting his hands on another woman. You feel me? I hear y'all talking about how y'all fathers of multiple daughters in here. That man was also just like y'all, a father of multiple daughters that he left behind because he what?
Pause, Juvie, don't you do it. Don't you do it.
That's a good
Because
point.
you know what? What
I'm not
old
gonna
boy
get
said,
into
Guardian
it
of the
because we
Galaxy?
about to wrap it up, but I'm just saying.
Hey, what did Yondu say in Guardian of the Galaxy? Anyone can be a pappy, but take the real man to be a daddy.
That's
And
right.
I go by that highly. Anybody can be a daddy. You take a real man to be a father. A daddy and a father is two different things to me. So I definitely stand by that. That's why it ain't called stepdaddy. That's only in the hood. That's a stepfather. But
I had to fight for my kids. Anyone to fight for the kids, go fuck yourself. I don't give a fuck.
You know
also, how do y'all feel
I'll
about
stay on that
the
one.
Minaj situation where she says that the 14-year-old boy that backed that hammer out when that
You want me to read it
grown
for you, bro?
My fault. Say it again.
Who that girl with the pink hair on?
That's Nicki Minaj. How do y'all feel about her offering to pay for the sons, like, college tuition, going forward and all of that by him,
That's hella solid.
doing what he did?
For the young man this. Back that motherfucker up.
That's
He's gonna need it. His rest of his life has changed for forever.
I will just shut my ass up.
No, BMT, I want to hear it. I want to hear it, BMT.
I'm good. We wrapping it up.
You don't think that's you
don't think that's solid?
There's a video I want to show, right? I want to show this video.
I want to hear it because I value BMT's opinion, and I like to hear devil's advocate. That's all I want to hear it.
No, y'all don't. We wrapping it up.
No. Say what's wrong with it?
Listen, y'all, if she really was trying to help that boy, she would have got his ass out of Chicago. The nigga got to make it to college.
Personal opinion, and I don't disagree with it, but it's not to say Nicki Minaj's act of kindness to pay for his college is detriment to that.
You want to know who did that same shit? You want to know who did that same shit?
Let's hear it.
Kanye did that same shit. You know what happened? They sued Kanye. The same
to who?
The same
Kanye did to who?
George Floyd family. They sued Kanye. He actually he offered to pay for the cost.
He did later though. He did something later though. They sued him for something later that was stated in his interview.
That shit right
later.
So
it
look,
wasn't no taking it back.
BMT, we're having some good conversations. We'll skip
Hold on, two things. One, Kyle Rittenhouse stayed in the same place where he shot and killed that person.
Stop! Don't start that. Don't start that. That's gonna piss me off.
Hey, the facts.
That's gonna piss me off. Don't start it. Calm. Don't go there.
He had to move, and then on top of that, this dude actually made money after the fact that he killed that dude. So why is it cool with Kyle Rittenhouse, but it's not cool with him?
To be fair, now he did kill pedophiles, Con. So I don't know, man. We want to ride on that train. He was killing pedophiles, so he's kind of.
Look, the point is, this motherfucker went to a rally. He went to a protest and went armed and used a gun that wasn't his, just like the situation we talking about right now. No physical violence was being had, and he shot innocent people. I don't give a fuck what motherfuckers did in their past at the point situation that when it happened,
them motherfuckers was innocent. So the fact that this motherfucker did that, stayed in the same spot and capitalized and made money off of that, and even became a fucking, I ain't gonna say a martyr, but basically that type of person for the right, you feel me? That's not cool. And we sitting here allowing him to do that because he got the complexion for the protection, but we ain't doing that for our own.
Hey, you just quoted Paul Mooney, and I respect it.
Right.
Facts.
Hey, like I said, let the boy make it to college, and then y'all have this conversation with me. And I'm team years.
So I will say this briefly.
When he gets to college, then y'all talk to me. Let me see him get to college.
I'll say this briefly. Yes, morally he was right because the people he shot were socially unacceptable people, right? For whatever the reasons.
No.
Legally, no. Morally and legally, they're unacceptable people. But the action he took, right? That's like being a vigilante. That's where the problem comes in. And then he got protected by a lot of different parties, right wing, and so that slanted the scales, right? Similar to George Zimmerman, right? Who sold the gun he shot Trayvon Martin with.
Facts.
And then that was a whole nother thing, right?
Facts.
If you got away with, let's just say Trayvon was wrong. Let's just say. And George Zimmerman was in the right and shot him. Let's just say. And what right mind in the world that you're living in? Hey, I'm gonna auction off the gun I shot the young black boy with. And what right mind? You wouldn't.
Nikki,
so that's where a problem is.
Boy, get him out of Chicago, Nikki. Get him and his mama out of Chicago. You care about them? Get him
so
out.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing with you, BMT. I'm not disagreeing with you, but just know he might have to come back for further proceedings. But I understand why you're saying like, hey, because he's a public figure now, he should dip out of Chicago, whether it's the regular street gangs or the people associated with the person he killed. I agree with that. But I also agree with Jazz in the sense of he shouldn't have to move because the officers there shouldn't protect him.
Hey, I'm out. Hey, I'm just saying, just get that boy out of Chicago with him and his mama and get him a job.
I second that, BNT. I second that. So with that being said, though, this last slide I'm gonna pull up. We was bringing it up earlier about you showed a girl that actually recorded the situation and everything. Here's a post from Clarissa Hood thanking Rahima Lewis for actually recording that video and posting it because she said that video actually is what helped her in the long run in her case.
I agree.
So,
at least she thanks her.
I tell people all the time as an officer, keep recording. You know why? Because I ain't scared because I'm recording. But just do it from this distance. Record what you want. I don't give a fuck. That's just me. But the thing is, the unfortunate, or I say unfortunate, I've shown to places where somebody is literally, I shit you not. And I'll tell you this, Marcus Carter, the reason I know his name because I saved his life. The one award I got for saving someone's life. He was stabbed 26 times. I stuck my fingers in his chest to save his life. Yeah. Right? People were recording everywhere. Oh, look at the police. And blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I'm trying to help this dude. And guess what? Our detectives caught the guy the next day. I went to trial just in December. And guess what? Dude pled out. Because I went there right away. I tell people, you should record the police if you feel like, for some reason, something is wrong. Most people will do that because they feel like, I think something's wrong, but they don't know. Right? That's what people do. I personally don't care because I know I'm in top of my shit. Across the nation, it's not the same way. So that's why I take time as a black police officer in my city. If people want, I'm recording you because you're arresting that person. I'm like, I'm not arresting them. but get recorded if you want to. And they're like, what? Yeah, get recorded if you want to. I know the law. I know the game. People will try to pressure you into making a statement because they think it's in this day and age it's like soundbite worthy or headline worthy. So why are you arresting them? You're like, I'm not arresting them. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, I'm detaining them because of this. Well, why do you have handcuffs? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, because of this.
So basically,
I can explain it.
You saying keep recording no matter what because you never know if something may be being done right or wrong.
No, it's not about being done right. If you feel as a citizen that something is wrong, go. If you feel like it, record it. And I say that because I feel confident in myself, and at least my coworkers that would do shit the right way. That's just me.
I feel it.
Nobody's in the locker room.
To give to everybody that ends up.
Yeah, nobody's in the locker room. Like, I can't wait to shoot somebody. Like, yeah, like nobody wants to do that. Right. No one wants to do that. Only thing I tell people if they watch this is modern policing, not old school, not what we heard from our parents, not what we heard from the 70s, 80s. Today, modern policing is moderately fair. But you have to understand why the police were called, what they're expected to do, as i.e. investigate, and then come with a conclusion.
Yeah.
So, why were the police called in the first place? Because this was the radio call. This is what they're operating off of, right? So people are like, hey, the guy with a gun, and he's like this. Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. I'm like, hey, it's your hand. Don't talk to me. You're like, that dude might get shot. And it was like, oh, we didn't have a gun. How did the police know that? Does that make sense?
I don't know.
I'm not saying, but this is my thing. I'm not saying it's okay, but if somebody's doing this,
I hear you. But with that being said, everybody get a sign out. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. Yeah,
BMT, tell them where they can find you at.
For all means.
You can find me on BMT.
Find me at the house. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jazz.
Thank you, Jazz.
And also, thank you, Ninja, for being the kind of cop that tries to bring understanding to situations. It must be hard to be a black cop out there, and a security officer as well, doing security, BMT. You know, put yourselves in those serious situations. So it's nice meeting you and finding out.
I appreciate it, but that is the reason why I do the job. And if I can at the very least, or BMT, I hope you'd agree, if I can at least change one person's mind or give one person pause to be like, why this happened, then I did my job the right way. Because people should question law enforcement, but in the right way. They should question like, okay, this happened, cool. They trust law enforcement, and then they're like, why it happened? And then they're like,
shout out to in the corner. Also, great principles.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Hey, BMT,
but you know what? Talking to y'all, it gives me energy to keep doing the job the right way because you guys.
Good.
I got nothing.
You ain't got nothing. Hey,
BMT, we got some comments, but I feel you though. You're not wrong, but we just think differently. It's all good.
It's all good. That's what
I tapped out. I tapped out.
Ninja, go ahead and get your sign out, bro.
I'm just a local neighborhood ninja. You can find me on Art of Wakanda because that's what I do on Instagram, Art of Wakanda. And if I know you personally, you can find me on Ninja Wakanda on Instagram. And I'm doing the same thing, doing ninja shit locally, and then hanging out with these guys, Jufi and Khan. Those are my boys. Those are my brothers. Those are my fam. And they are some of the greatest individuals as black men, as men in general you can meet. And I'm always pleasured. Even in this instance, Khan, you and I talked about my job. But to be in those positions and trust these men with that. So these are the men right here to trust and to follow through.
Nice.
I really appreciate that. You're my brother, man. I appreciate what you do. And although You feel me? Black fathers and black men don't get the credit they deserve when we do protect. I'm glad, regardless of whatever percentage it is of good black men or bad black men, I'm glad that I can identify you as a good one and a good father. So keep doing what you do, bro.
Hey,
Absolutely.
Grover was my dad. Grover was my dad, and he taught me the right way, and I'm gonna follow through with that till I die.
Amen.
Yep.
Jew?
Hey man, I appreciate y'all, man. Thank y'all for spending another long Friday night with us, man. Thank y'all for tapping in. Thank you for the feedback. Thank you everybody that came on the platform and gave us their perspective. We do appreciate y'all.
You know your
again,
camera
man,
off, right?
yeah, I know. I'm tune in. It's all good. Don't worry about it. You don't need to see me to hear me. Hey, you don't need to see me to hear me, man. But yeah, man, thank you again, man. Again, man, protect everybody.
Patrick
Black
Swayze,
woman,
get
black
him.
man. It don't matter, male, female, black, white, whatever color the race is. You see wrong, you step in and you try to defend as best as you can. I ain't saying sacrifice your life to help another person, but do the best you can to at least intervene to save somebody's
Absolutely.
life the best way you can. You feel me? At the end of the day, all lives matter. But black people need a motherfucking life.
Hey, chill out, bro.
Hey, let me
That's
finish
not
my
how you end
slogan,
the show.
man.
That is not how you
Hey,
end the show, bro.
like I said, at the end
You
of the
end
day,
the show
all,
on some
hey,
bullshit
Got me
like
until the
hey,
very end.
today, like I said, all lives matter, but black people need
oh
some
my
life.
god.
Period, point blank, man. So,
But black matter the most. Okay.
All right.
It is what
It's
it
your boy
is.
the comment. Thank you for tapping in. We'll tap in, no capping. I appreciate y'all tolerating us tonight, man. So y'all have
They
a
don't
good
tolerate,
week.
bro. We had a hard conversation that need to be
Y'all have
had.
a good weekend. Thank you to Grover. You feel me? My boy Ninja. Thank you to Jazz. Thank you to Jude. Thank you to BMT. Thank you to Shayla. Thank you to everybody who attended the podcast tonight. Thank you for the viewers. Like, subscribe. Hit us up next time on Friday. Tapping, no capping. Have a good night.
Yep.